You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Tanner, on what day did this incident happen with your car?
It occurred on 8:30 of 05.
And where was your car parked?
My car was parked in a grocery store parking lot.
When did you arrive there?
Probably around 10 o'clock. And I went in to do grocery shopping, and when I came back out, there was a note on my car.
I see it.
And there was a huge dent on the side of my car.
Okay.
And I basically...
Shh. Okay, so this note is very nice because some Sarah Miller, is that you?
That's me.
Took the time out. So you don't know her?
No, ma'am.
Never met her before?
No, Your Honor.
You know her now?
Very briefly, I just met her last night.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd spoken to her on the phone?
Numerous times.
Would you step up, Miss Miller? Because Mr. Tanner doesn't know what happened to his car, but you do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, you were shopping that day?
Yeah. At the time, my little sister and I had come outside, and we were putting groceries in the car, and we turned around because we heard a bunch of noise. And at first, I thought that it was just friends being mad at each other, but there were two guys, and they yelled, "Stop, police," which really got my attention, and they started to apprehend what looks like a shh, which was they were trying to apprehend this man.
Can you describe the man they were trying to apprehend?
I would say probably 30s-ish, and he was wearing pretty dirty clothes and unkempt. So.
And the men that were pursuing him?
They were in street clothes.
And you heard them yell, "Stop, police"?
Mm-hmm.
Turned around, and what did you see next?
I saw them trying to apprehend the thief. The thief kind of got away from them at a point in time, and then they grabbed a good hold of him right up against Mr. Tanner's car.
Both of them?
Yes.
Two people?
Two people, which I thought was really interesting. At that point, when the guy was up against the car, I thought they would have had him, held there, but the thief got away and dropped his backpack, which had in it a large jar of pickles, which to me, I associated that with making a large dent when they had him end up against the car, and then grapes and some things, and they just chased him.
Did the pickles break when it fell to the floor?
No.
This jar of pickles was in his backpack?
Yeah.
And you saw the two men push him up against his car?
The car,
Did you go and inspect Mr. Tanner's car afterwards? Did you see anything on his car afterwards?
I saw the dent, which,
I have a picture of that right here.
I'd like to see it, please. Did you say anything to either of these two men, Miss Miller?
No.
Did you watch the rest of the action as it unfolded, or did you get into your car and leave?
No. I really tried to watch it. I mean, it was something really interesting, just right across from me. So they ended up chasing him, and I just watched them as far as I could see them across the parking lot, and then I lost them. And then that's when I got in my car and pulled out my notebook and started writing the note.
So you wrote the note. Did you see anything else after you put the note on the car?
Yeah, there was a policeman, actually, a city policeman at the grocery store, and he was outside. My little sister saw that he was trying to see if anybody had witnessed what had gone on, and so she brought him over to me, and we just described what we had seen, and I made it really abundantly clear about the damage to the car and asked him if he wanted to make a report or if he wanted to take down names, and apparently he didn't.
Now, what is your name, sir?
Wes Guiley.
Are you the owner of the security company?
No, ma'am, I'm not. This is the representative I brought with me for the company.
Were you working security that day?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
With who else?
My partner, Kenny.
Did you apprehend this man that day?
No, ma'am, we did not.
Did you lose him? Inside the store?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were inside the store, was it you or your partner who noticed him shoplifting?
I did.
What did you see him take?
Ice cream, chips, jar of pickles, which he concealed on another aisle, and then exited the store.
So he put the pickles in his backpack?
Correct. And then
along with other items?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you notify your partner at that point?
Yes, I radioed him, and he goes, "Okay, I'll come right over."
What did you do next?
We have a cart that we push around. We shop, pretend to shop. Proceed to the back of the store. The suspect was down an aisle. I angled the cart. In our cart, we have mirrors so that we can see down the aisle so that we're not standing out in the open.
Wait until you get outside. Now he's outside with the pickles in his backpack.
Correct. He exited the store. He made no attempt to pay for the merchandise. My partner and I went out. He was next to a white vehicle. I said, "I'm store security. I need to speak to you about the merchandise neglected to pay for." At that time, the suspect turned and struck me. The first time, I put my hands up to defend myself and to back away. At that time, he struck me again, and at that time, I was able to step back and receive a phone from my partner, which I called the local police department. After he struck me and I moved back, the suspect ran past the truck on the diagram there between Mr. Tanner's car, and at that point is when the suspect struck Mr. Tanner's car, making a dent, during which time we were nowhere near Mr. Tanner's vehicle.
Your Honor, that's...
Shh! You weren't there, so don't tell me, Your Honor, anything. You weren't there.
He changed his story.
Shh, listen to me. Listen to me. Shh. You weren't there. Miss Miller was there, right, Miss Miller? Now, Miss Miller, this gentleman says that somehow this suspect ran past Mr. Towner's car with his backpack on his back and maneuvered himself around in such a way that he caused this dent. That's what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
But I just want to know what kind of a good fibber you are, sir.
All right, ma'am, if I...
Listen to me.
Sorry.
She has absolutely no reason to write this note and put this note on his car. None. She didn't know him. She didn't know you. She didn't know the person who stole the pickles. She didn't know anybody. All she was a good citizen who said, I saw someone damage your car. I want to let you know because you're not here. So in case you need a witness, here I am. Now, if you were in my shoes, Mr. Guiley, and you had Miss Miller, who has no vested interest whatsoever in this case, or you, if you were me, who would you believe?
I'd probably believe me if I could explain. If you'd allow me to explain, I would.
I'm dying to hear it, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If I were to...
Wes Guiley dented his car while in pursuit of a suspect.
I'm dying to hear how she just happens to talk about a red car, happens to put the car. You just happen to see him bump into a red car and make a dent in a place that would be virtually impossible for someone. I mean, I wish I could get down and do this. Well, I think I will. If I were to believe you, sir, this person would have had to crouch down, turn around, back into the car with the pickles, stand up, and keep running. Mr. Guiley, that's what you want me to believe, sir. And in addition to that, you want me to believe that Miss Miller was suffering a psychotic episode on the 30th of August when she said, I think I'm going to get this very nice young man and his company into some trouble. I'm going to say that they pushed this man against the car. Well, I'm just telling you, this dent is consistent with her story, that somebody pushed him against the car. I'm not saying that you didn't have just cause, Mr. Guiley, that if you were chasing a suspect that you observed committing a crime and if he was trying to evade your capture, you had the right to put your hands on him. You did?
Only to step away and to a safe spot
Mr.
so that I could make
Guiley,
a phone call.
I'm not saying that you did anything wrong
Correct.
that day.
Okay.
I'm just saying, sir, that you dented Mr. Towner's car and all he was doing was buying lettuce.
No, ma'am, I did not dent.
Yes, you did, sir. Yes, you did. Come on. Anything you want to say to me? You weren't there, were you?
No, I was not there.
Perfect. All right. Can I see the bill to fix your car? This is not brain surgery here. Well, that's not a bad estimate. Now you can stand up. The only thing Mr. Guiley did wrong is coming here and telling me this grandma story today about the suspect crouching down and bumping the pickles into the car. That's the only thing he did wrong. Other than that, I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he did the right thing in trying to apprehend a suspect who wasn't paying for merchandise. But he has to pay for Mr. Towner's car, and you have to pay for Mr. Towner's car because this was done during the course of his employment. It's going to cost you $812. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They wouldn't pay. I tried over and over.
Mrs. Mesquite, step forward, please.
Linda Donahue is suing the mother of her grandson, Katrina Mesquite, for the return of baby furniture. Katrina says Linda's lawsuit is retaliation for breaking up with her son.
Miss Donahue, this is your son?
Yes, it is.
And the defendant is his former girlfriend. They have a baby together.
Yes.
This is what your foolishness is about.
Yes, it is.
I haven't told you yet what I consider your foolishness. Your foolishness is about this. When your son and his then-girlfriend found out that they were expecting a child, you went to the baby store with them and decided to buy the baby furniture. Is this your first grandchild?
Second.
First from this son?
Second from this son.
Where is his other baby?
His daughter will be 12 in a week, and he has custody of her.
So this is the first baby in a long time for
Yes.
you. And so you said, I'm going to buy the baby furniture. According to you, you said, if it doesn't work out between the two of you living together, I want the furniture back. It didn't work out, you want the furniture back. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. You have custody of this child?
Yes, I have filed for full custody.
Does the child live with you full time?
Yes, he does.
And how old is he?
2 months.
Does his father visit with him?
Okay.
Limit that.
I don't.
Stand up next to your mother. Your last name is?
Faraci.
Faraci. Have you been legally declared the father of this child?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
In a court?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because it hasn't gotten to that stage yet.
You should.
I have filed for petition for that, ma'am.
And who else do you live with?
I have my 3 children that are with me half the week, and then I have my brother and his friend renting a room from me.
And how long were the two of you together?
Since August of last year.
And when did you separate?
September 25th. I went that morning to the Angel game. It was the final home game of the season. And when I came home that day, all of my belongings, as well as my daughter's belongings, were out on the front porch. All the locks had been changed, and the garage door had been rigged, so I couldn't get through the
You
end of the
must
house.
have really ticked her off.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I purchased all my grandchildren's baby furniture.
Wonderful.
I never once said, by the way, if the marriage doesn't work out, I want the furniture.
Is suing the mother of her grandson, Katrina Meskey, for the return of baby furniture. Katrina says Linda's lawsuit is retaliation for breaking up with her son.
You must have really ticked her off.
We had a dispute the day before over something that she did, and because I guess I didn't finish the conversation, she got upset because I left and then dismissed my things out of the house.
Whatever. In any event, you're going to be involved with this lady for the next 18 years.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not a good idea to have your mother sue her. And I would have, if I were you, discouraged my mother any which way that I could from suing the mother of my son, who I want to visit and who I would like to have a relationship with my mother, sue her at the very beginning of this separation.
This wasn't his idea.
I just said I would have done anything that I could to discourage you from suing the mother of his child with whom he is going to have a relationship for 18 years. Now, you're going to tell me that when you went to the baby store with the two of them, you said to the two of them, what?
The furniture was purchased, which I have receipts for.
There's no question you purchased it.
Okay.
I purchased all my grandchildren's baby furniture.
Wonderful.
I never once had a conversation with my in-law children that said, by the way, if the marriage doesn't work out, I want the furniture back. And I have 11 grandchildren, madam. Never once did I have that conversation. I don't know any normal person that would have that conversation. It's unfathomable to me. I have friends who have grandchildren, who buy their grandchildren their baby furniture. Not one of them ever said to their children, whether they were married children or not married children, by the way, I get the furniture back if the relationship doesn't work out.
And you know what, Judge Judy? I came in here knowing that this might be the results of this, but I didn't want to hear it from anybody but the judge.
You heard it from me, Miss Donahue. Well, you heard it from me. It's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous for you because if you have 2 grandchildren, one is 12 and one is a newborn, it would seem to me that this lady has 3 other children. Mm-hmm. So now she's really stretched out. She's got a 2-month-old baby. And if you were clever, you would say, listen, I want to get in there. I want to be supportive. I don't want to take sides. I just want to be a good grandma to this little boy. You know, if she's in a bind, I want to take care of it. And the way to ingratiate yourself is not to sue her.
Judge Judy, that's what I want. I want just to be able to see my grandson.
Did you think that by suing her that would accomplish this?
The whole point here is not even so much for that. I want to be able to see him. I've not seen him except 3 times since he was born.
Your Honor.
She forbids that.
What I'm saying to you is, this is not the avenue to take, Miss Donahue, to get there. And you may not have a relationship with her, but he's got custody of his 12-year-old, is that right? And he was a good person with your 3 children?
Yes.
So that there would be absolutely no reason why he couldn't take the baby for a day. His mother could see the baby. Any reason why that couldn't happen?
None.
Well, that's what should happen. But it shouldn't start out with lawsuits.
It didn't.
Well, right now, the first thing that you have to do is you have to declare yourself the father of this child, let a court decide either issues of custody or visitation, and then what's supposed to happen is a baby is supposed to have the widest community of love and affection as is possible. And if you made a mistake by having this baby because you didn't know each other well enough, the baby shouldn't suffer. So if the baby's got a grandmother who wants to have a relationship, you allow that to happen. She looks, aside from the fact that this was poor judgment on her part to bring this lawsuit, she looks like a together lady. She doesn't look like a nut. She doesn't look like a drug addict or an alcohol abuser. She may be a little overbearing, which is what you say, but you would know that she would take care of your baby if you let her have him for a day, which would mean that you could have a day to go get a manicure and a pedicure and a facial, go to the mall with the girls, have time off to go to a movie if you didn't have your kids with you, and she would be there to fill in. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
You get the gist of it?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Smart. Smart. That doesn't mean that you've given up anything. It just means that when you're in the movies, somebody else is going to feed him and change him and play with him, and you've gotten a couple of hours free. Who are you?
My name is Susan Strano. I'm her neighbor, Your Honor.
Are you a working neighbor, a mom neighbor? What are you?
A mom neighbor.
Mom neighbor. Good. How many children do you have?
3.
And how much would you love it if somebody took your 3 children so that you could go
Oh,
get
I'd
a
love
pedicure?
it.
You love it. Especially if somebody is capable.
Right.
She may not like her. She may feel as if he's a mama's boy, which was part of the problem because he went to the ball game with his mother, according to what I read. Yeah. Listen, it doesn't make any difference. You're going to take very good care of your son. Let her do it. Don't be foolish. Take advantage of it. Yes. Smart? Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may
Rivera, the defendant is your cousin, is that right?
Cousins, Your Honor.
Correct.
Your fathers were brothers?
Yes.
Did you grow up together?
Yes, we did, Your Honor.
You're friends forever?
We actually lived together for about 6 years. All 3 of us.
This is the relationship as I understand it. Tell me your first name.
My name is Joppa.
And you, sir?
Miles Rivera.
Joppa.
Yes.
You and I assume this young lady, since she's the only person here, used to be a couple.
Yeah, you can call it that.
You used to be a couple
Yes, Your Honor.
because you have a child together.
Yes, Your Honor.
A little girl.
Yes.
And you were together for a period of time. How many years?
Oh, for about 6, 7 years.
How old is your daughter?
My daughter's 5.
And now this young lady is a couple with Miles.
Yes,
Right?
Your Honor.
That causes some problems. And what Miles says is that one day when you were coming to either pick up or return your daughter for a visit, you got into some sort of an altercation and vandalized his car. And you say that didn't happen.
No, Your
You
Honor.
didn't touch his car.
That's a total lie.
No, I didn't do it would be sufficient.
Okay. No, I didn't do it, Your Honor.
What's this lady's name?
Kathy,
When did you and Kathy break up?
probably 2001.
And when did Miles start to see her?
I'm guessing probably a year later.
Is that right?
I believe so.
And the two of you were going to have another child. Is that right?
They already got a child, Your Honor.
How old is your child?
Not even 2 months.
And she has a whole bunch of other children.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right?
Yes, she has 4 other children.
Now, on what date did this vandalism take place, Miles?
Sorry.
What date did this
Oh, this was April 20th this year.
Tell me about it.
I was outside messing with my car when Joppa pulled up to get his daughter. You know, I hadn't seen him for about a year before that, so I was just like, "Hey, what's up?" And then he could.
Why hadn't you seen him for a year? You were close.
We stopped speaking because of that.
You mean because of Kathy?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So he approached me. You know, we just got a little altercation, arguing, nothing major. And then Kathy called him, I believe, or her daughter, who was watching his younger daughter. And then we were still yelling, so they heard the argument on the phone. So they came down.
What were you yelling at him about?
I don't know exactly what the words were spoken, but just
What angry words?
yeah, his anger toward me, and you know, I don't blame him. You know, he probably feels like he was backstabbed, but I wasn't out to do that to him. I was just thinking more of myself, you know. So the daughter came down, and then on my way up, I could hear them start arguing.
You mean Kathy and
Kathy
Joppa?
and Joppa. So I come back downstairs to see what's going on, and that time he was standing in front of my car, which was all scratched up and dented. And I said, what's all this about? He's like, what? And then we just started arguing some more. I just went back upstairs after that.
You have pictures of the car?
Yes.
All right, Kathy, stand up, please.
This was before and after shot.
Nice car.
How old are you?
35.
Well, it looks like somebody keyed the car.
Correct.
Okay, Kathy, tell me what you saw.
Joppa just started hitting the car.
You started kicking the car?
Kicking, hitting, scratching.
Well, I don't see any kicking the car. I don't see any dents. I do see scratches. Tell me how he made the scratches on the car.
With a key.
Did you see him do that?
Mhm.
What did you say to him?
I asked him what he was doing.
And what did he say to you?
He didn't say anything. He threw up gang signs.
What is that?
Signs.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Show me what that looks like.
I don't know. It's like something with his hand.
You know what that looks like?
I have no idea what
You
you're
have
talking
no
about,
idea.
Your Honor.
What were you arguing about with Joppa?
I told him to leave. I wasn't arguing with him. I told him to leave.
And what did he say?
He used a couple of choice words, and then he pretended he was going to leave, and I told him that my daughter wasn't buckled up in the car yet. Then he got back out of the car and started scratching the car.
So he was annoyed at the direction that you gave him to buckle her up.
He was already annoyed.
Well, he got more annoyed because she gave him another direction. Joppa,
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm listening.
First of all, I never touched the car. Never scratched it, never kicked it, didn't touch it at all.
What were you arguing about?
With who? With...
Either one of them.
Well, me and Miles, each time we see each other, we argue.
What were you arguing about?
That he has a daughter with my baby's mama. So now my daughter has a brother, and...
And they're also cousins.
Yeah. But now that... Yeah, and the father of my daughter's brother is her uncle.
Yeah.
By marriage.
Yeah, probably by marriage or whatever you want.
Listen to
20,
me.
25 years.
Hey, listen to me.
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't talk to her.
Okay, I'm sorry. Don't talk to her. Okay.
Joppa,
Yes.
it is what it is.
Yes, Your Honor. I understand it.
Listen, it's not going to change.
It's not.
So your cousin says, I understand why he's angry.
Okay.
In affairs of the heart, sometimes you can't control yourself.
Okay.
I know. You understand that, sir? How many children do you have?
I got one, Your Honor.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
And you? 5.
I got 5, Your Honor, 4 different men.
See how life changes?
Yeah, I know.
Joppa.
Wow.
Joppa, how many children did she have when you had a child with her?
3.
With 3 different men?
No, with 2 different men.
With
at the
2
time.
different men?
Yeah.
So you knew there might be a
yeah.
problem, right?
No, I didn't. At the time, no, I didn't.
Well, but you should have.
But I didn't.
But you should have.
Because I loved her kids and her kids loved me. So
Just a second.
it was fine.
Love, love.
Yes.
I just said to you, affairs of the heart.
Uh-huh.
You can't control them.
You can't.
Neither could he. Joppa,
What?
do you understand?
Yes, I
Neither
understand,
could he.
Johnny.
Do you have a job?
Yes.
What do you do?
I'm at
He doesn't. Now sit down.
convention services.
Now sit down. What kind of work do you do?
Hyatt Regency.
What do you do?
Convention services.
He works. He's a nice-looking man. There are lots of women out there who would like to have a nice, respectable guy who works most of the time. He could have picked somebody a lot less complicated than Kathy. Joppa, I'm
Yes.
trying to make you feel better.
I understand.
He could have
I
made.
feel good, John.
He
I
could have
feel
picked somebody a lot less complicated than somebody with 5 kids, a lot of different fathers floating around Father's Day. Could have made his life very, very simple. But he didn't, because he fell for her.
I understand
You
that.
can't control that. I know that you're hurt because he's your cousin.
No, I'm not hurt no more.
Well, yes,
Your
yes,
Honor.
you were.
A
You
word.
just-
Yes, word.
Yes, you were hurt
They're made
because
for each
you
other,
said.
Your Honor. They ain't got no morals.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There wasn't family members.
Get over.
His cousin, Joppa Rivera, keyed his classic car during an argument. Joppa says Miles is romantically involved with the mother of his child.
He was your friend before.
Yeah, it was more than a friend. It was my cousin. It was family.
Listen, he was your friend before.
Yes, before.
And what I'm saying to you is you're not putting on your listening ears.
Okay.
Because he fell in love with her doesn't make him amoral. He wasn't amoral when he was your friend before and your cousin. So the only thing that, according to you, made him amoral is the fact that he got together with the mother of your baby.
Yes.
Well, you know, she had 3 other guys before you. You think that they should say that you're amoral because
Yeah,
you
but-
got together with her?
but-
Listen. It is
There
what it
wasn't
is.
family members.
Get over.
Okay, it's
Family
over, Your
doesn't
Honor, it's
make any
over.
difference.
I know, I understand it. It's over.
It's over. You
Okay.
shouldn't have keyed his car. How much
I
is it
never
gonna
keyed his
cost
car,
you?
Your Honor.
Fix it.
3,400.
I never keyed his car, Your Honor. The only witness that supposedly see me keyed his car is her.
And
Okay?
her
I think-
daughter and
this-
daughter's boyfriend.
I think this should just apply, Your Honor, to get back the money that she's giving me, because she's paying me child support. Just like all the other kids, she pays child support too. And it's just applied to get money
No,
back.
no, just a second. On the car.
What
The
car?
car is a silent witness. Unless you are...
The car had cameras? I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Good.
And I stand
good.
by it.
Can I
Fine.
show you the copy of the police report, Your Honor?
Yes,
Listen.
get the police. I got a copy of that too.
Where it clearly
Listen to me.
states here
Listen
that...
to me. Give me the police report and give me the estimate. And give me the year of the car, which is what?
1972.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
While you read that police report?
Yes.
This police report, every statement in here by Kathy Aragon is false. She said I came to pick up my daughter from her for my visit. I don't need a visit, Your Honor. I have full custody of my daughter. My daughter lives with me.
That's it.
Okay. Second of all, I did not drop my daughter off to her. I dropped off my daughter to her daughter. She was about 19, 20 at that time. I came and picked up my daughter, and they was there. And that police report says that I dropped off my daughter to her, and I was supposed to pick my daughter up from her for visits. I don't need a visit. She needs to visit her daughter for me.
Got it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Got it.
Just excited.
Other than your daughter, Kayla?
Yes.
Who else lives with you, sir?
Actually, I'm staying at my parents' house right now with my daughter.
Your parents help you take care of her?
Yes.
When you work?
Yes, when I work, yes.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you
I'm
do?
at right now I'm doing I got a contract with Oakland Unified School District to rewire their whole schools. Yes, I do have a job.
I'm happy for you.
Good.
Finally. Well, you know, it's sort of interesting to me. Miles, listen to me very carefully, sir. I'm listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, he's becoming more persuasive to me.
In what manner?
There are only two people.
There were two other witnesses there.
I don't have any other witnesses, sir. I only have her.
And he confessed to the police officer on the phone.
Okay.
Would you ask him to please point out to me where it says that he confessed to the police officer on
Can
the
I say
phone?
something about that, Your Honor?
No, I want to read it.
Okay, read it, then can I say something?
Yes.
Okay.
I wish the police was here because police doesn't lie.
I should have subpoenaed the police officer.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Here you go. It says the police officer said that while at the scene, Miles called you, and the police officer obtained a statement from you that said that he was off and that he vandalized the car. Rivera one, that would be you, to get an estimate, and he would have the vehicle fixed.
I didn't know it was a police officer. I thought it was like one of his friends telling me to come back because the first thing the phone call said, "Won't you come back over here?" How am I supposed to know it's a police officer? How am I supposed to know
What
it's
difference
not
does it
his
make?
friend?
Why would you say to somebody, why would you say to anybody, police officer or otherwise,
because
I'm
it might be
speaking,
his friend.
I'm speaking. Why would you say to somebody, a police officer or otherwise, yeah, I was pissed off, I vandalized the car, tell them to get an estimate and I'll have it fixed.
Just to get off the phone because I didn't think it was a police officer.
You know what's going to take you to get out of here, sir?
Okay, but you know what? Can I also say something? This on this.
$3,479. That's what it's going to cost you to get out of here. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
Oh
Sorry,
man.
sorry, excuse me. Step out, sir. Step out the back to you, right?
It's frustration.
Step forward, please.
23-year-old Rosemary Penco is suing her ex-boyfriend, 26-year-old Clint Potter, for damaging her car when he grabbed at the steering wheel.
Ms. Penco, according to your complaint, you were separated from your husband for a period of time, and while you were separated, you started to date the defendant. You claimed that at some point last year, he caused you to have an accident in your car. You want him to pay for the damage to the car. In addition, you claimed that he has embarked upon a campaign of harassment over the last 6 or 7 months, and you want him to compensate you for that as well. Mr. Potter says that he prevented a more serious accident on that date back, I believe it's in March of 2005, because you were driving too quickly and he tried to stop you. And in addition, he has a counterclaim for $300 because he says after this incident in the car, you called him and asked him for a loan of $300 and you haven't paid him back. You've since gone back to your husband. Is that right?
Rosemary Penco claims ex-boyfriend Clint Potter damaged her car when he grabbed at the steering wheel.
All right, when did you start to date Mr. Potter?
Probably in November.
When had you and your husband separated?
About 3 months before that.
All right, and tell me about this incident with the car.
We went out, we were coming back home, and I was going to drop him home, and we were on the freeway. He was arguing about the same thing all over again, that I don't spend enough time with him, and I told him that I can't have more time, I don't have time for anything, I have a full-time work, school, everything, and he got mad at me, and he grabbed the wheel, and I swerved to the side.
What kind of damage was done to the car?
It was the ground effects were broken under the car.
I read that in your complaint. I have no idea what ground effects are.
It just goes from one side of the tire to the other. It's just a bar piece that makes the car look lower.
How much did you spend for these ground effects?
They're about $1,000.
Show me the bill.
That's the bill from the price on from the Pontiac dealership.
I know. I want to see the bill where you put them on your car.
Oh, I don't have that bill, ma'am.
Well,
no.
that's too bad. Why don't you have that bill?
I didn't think I needed it for anything.
Well, you do.
I see that now.
Your Honor,
Yes.
she didn't pay for it. Her parents paid for it.
Listen to me, Mr. Potter. You just didn't help yourself. I'm going to tell you why you didn't help yourself. Because if you now acknowledge that someone, as a gift, put these ground effects, as stupid as it sounds to me, on her car. What she's showing me now is the replacement value of those if she wants to put them back on the car. So if I find, thank you very much, that you were damaged, then I can use this.
Okay.
See what teaches you to keep your mouth shut unless I look at you and say, now I'm going to let you talk. Well, that takes care of that. Now, tell me what happened in mid-March when you were driving in the car, Mr. Potter, and be careful. Because so far you put your foot in your mouth once, let's not do it twice.
There was no argument whatsoever. We had just left the hotel where we met up, and she likes to drive fast. She is a V8. She does race cars. She's good at that, and kind of worried me a little. What happened was I prevented her from getting a serious wreck.
Tell me what you did.
We were almost home, and the car was swerving over in front of her, and I said, "Watch out!" And I went to grab the wheel, and then she did like this. It went left, right, left, and it did a 180 up onto the freeway ramp, and it came back down and got stuck because the car is so low. It got stuck on the part that separates the mound from the road.
You're not supposed to put your hands on a steering wheel, Mr. Potter, when someone else is driving.
I did not touch the steering wheel.
Yes. You're not supposed to touch your arm.
I went to reach for it. It was a natural human reaction. Okay.
Mr. Potter.
Yes.
You can't have it every which way but loose. Tell me about this harassment that you're now claiming.
It was nonstop.
Starting when?
Starting when I told him that I didn't want to be with him anymore.
When was that?
The end of April.
What brings you to court now?
He wants money from a promise.
Just a second. What I want to know is April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. 10 months later, you woke up.
No, ma'am. I just wanted him to leave me alone. I didn't want anything to do with him. I didn't want money from him. All I wanted was for him to leave me alone, and he couldn't do that.
But you say that what brought you to court today is because he's suing you.
He started, yeah.
You filed a small claims case against her?
Yes.
When?
December.
And your lawsuit was for what, sir?
I have given her $300 right at the end of April, around the 19th, 20th, whatnot.
What did she say? Tell me how that happened.
I think she needed it for books for her school for the next semester. She said she would pay me back. Now, she says I harass her, but it's not harassment. I'm just trying to get my $300 back. After she says she wants to be with her husband, I'm like, okay, well, I'm still waiting. You said you're going to pay me back in a week.
When did she tell you that she was going back to her husband?
She told me she was going to go back with him sometime in August.
All right. You get your $300 back.
Okay.
But it's going to be by way of a deduction. I'm deducting the $300 that she owes you from the $1,000 that she needs to put the ground effects on the car. Do you understand?
I do.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $700. That's all.
7-year-old Jimmy Misri is suing his former friend, 21-year-old Rafael Rafe Cassin, for damaging his car while playing a prank.
Mr. Misri, according to your complaint, the defendant, who used to be a friend of yours, is he still a friend of yours?
No, not really. I'm sorry. Not really. Somewhat, like, we're friendly, but, you know, there's always this little altercation between us. Understand? We're going to be very
Is
fun.
he still your friend?
No.
When was the last time you saw Mr. Cassin?
Probably a few weeks ago.
Where did you see him?
I'm really not too sure.
Try not to think of an answer that you think I'm going to like. Okay. Try just to speak the truth. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Good. Try to speak the truth, then we won't have any trouble, Mr. Misri.
No problem.
If you don't, we're going to have a lot of trouble. Do we understand each other?
100%.
Okay, good. When was the last time you saw him, Mr. Cassin?
Common parties, so we have common friends, you know, and probably...
When was the last time you saw him?
Probably around 2 weeks ago.
Where?
In Rutgers.
Are you in school?
Yes.
And you?
I don't go to school.
Did you go to Rutgers?
Yes.
When?
Last year.
Did you graduate?
No, I didn't.
What are you doing now?
I work for a wholesale company.
When did this incident happen with your car?
The 17th
Of what?
of November.
According to the complaint that you filed, Mr. Cassin played a little joke on you with your car, and the car was damaged. You want him to pay for the damage to the car.
Correct.
Take your hands out of your pockets.
I'm sorry.
Tell me about this practical joke that you played and why, Mr. Cassin.
We went to a party. I was a designated driver that night, trying to do the responsible thing. I go into the party. I'm making friends, whatever. I start hooking up with this girl, and later that night I see Jimmy hooking up with the same girl. I got pretty upset, and I hid his car from him. And
where did you hide the car?
Asbury Park.
So you left the party?
I left the party and came back to the party, but avoided Jimmy that night.
You left the party?
Correct.
And you took his car?
Correct.
And you parked it how far away from where the party was?
A few miles.
Who did you go in the car with?
No one. Someone followed me there.
Who followed you?
My friend Isaac.
And what did you do after you parked the car?
Oh, sorry. My bad.
What did you do after you parked the car in Asbury Park?
I came back to the party.
And then?
Avoided Jimmy the rest of the night.
Avoided him?
Yes, because I didn't want him to know where it was. Eventually, I answered his call. He kept calling me.
You mean he had left the party?
Oh, no, he was at the party.
Well, what do you mean you avoided his calls? How big a party was this?
It was a rather large party.
So he was calling you on his cell phone?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I finally, say he needs a ride home, whatever. Let's end the joke now. And we went and got his car and take him home. That was it.
And?
Oh, so really the ride home, I don't remember so well because I was drinking a lot that night. And in the morning, I saw my car in my driveway and I saw the dent scratch. I called him up. I was like, Raph, listen, what are you doing? Car is whatever. And he's like, I don't know. And then I was a little mad, and my girl's missing. I have pictures. Should I show the pictures? I'll see him. By the way, Your Honor, you look beautiful.
Don't
Don't suck
there,
up.
Mr.
Don't
Mystery.
suck up. Forget it.
Because it'll be the fastest way for you out the door, sir.
I'm sorry.
The fastest way for you out the door. What year college did you finish?
My junior year.
Why did you leave?
I got offered a good job, so. I know. I should go finish up. Everyone's telling me to. But, I might finish night school.
Before you act like a wise guy, you have to exercise good judgment. And good judgment is not leaving college voluntarily, needing 2 semesters at school because you got a good job.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Could I see a copy of your police report, please?
There wasn't one filed.
Why not?
Because I didn't really think of it like that. I figured he was going to pay me, and I wasn't in the mood for the hassles, I guess.
Your Honor, I didn't really examine the car before I got in that night, so I don't know when these damages could have occurred. They even could have occurred on while it was at the party.
You're absolutely right, sir.
I have no idea.
Listen to me, Mr. Cassin.
Mhm.
You're absolutely right.
Mhm.
The problem is, you put yourself in a position to be accused of damage that could have been caused at the party, could have been caused when you parked the car in Asbury Park. Now, did you park for any particular reason?
Just a place that he wouldn't be able to find it.
Was it a deserted area?
It is sort of a deserted area.
What's wrong with the 2 front grills, sir?
They're missing.
Oh, they're missing.
Oh, yeah, look in the front. You see the
I
front?
mean, I can't see with this kind of picture.
No, you see where those holes are?
Yes.
On the picture? So there's usually these lines, like a normal, you know, a BMW, how they have the lines in the grill?
I don't have a BMW.
I don't know, I figured maybe you saw one or something. I don't know.
No, I never looked at the grill. But what's this?
That's a dent on the side. Basically, you put it in a plate. It's like taking my car, putting it in harm's way. You understand what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I don't mean to. I'll just keep drinking my water.
What I'm saying is you're not accusing him with regard to the damage to the side of the car, only to the 2 front grills. Is that correct?
No. I want to also accuse him of the side because...
I don't have an estimate for that.
No, it was actually included in that estimate. The person that gave me the estimate, I knew him, so I asked him to give me a good price on it. So what did he, instead of replacing the piece, he's going to pull out the dent for me and polish it up to make it look nice, you know? I'm not trying to put him out of house and home, you know? I just want him to pay for what he did.
Judged for the plaintiff in the amount of $910. You know, you have a right... Enough with the water, please.
You know what? I figured if I drink it, I won't talk.
Stay in school. Stay in school.
You think I should go back?
Do I have to...
Listen
Listen to me. This is not a give and take, Mr. Misery. I'm suggesting to you stay in school. Aside from the fact that wise guys usually, at the end of the day, don't wind up to be happy people.
Oh, no. I'm not a wise guy. I'm really not.
Yes, you are.
Why?
Yes, you are. However, it's not a give and take.
No.
And maybe you have diabetes or something. If you drink a lot of water, I would have yourself your bladder checked.
My ADD.
24-year-old Brandon Heber is suing his former roommate, 24-year-old Aaron Buchanan, for shooting him in the finger with a BB gun. Aaron claims Brandon antiqued him while he was sleeping.
Mr. Herber, how old are you, sir?
I'm 24.
And you?
24.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Herber?
I'm a bartender.
Full-time?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been a bartender?
For about the last 3.5 years.
Same place for 3.5 years?
No, I just started working there. I worked at another bar.
For how long did you work there?
2.5 years.
Why did you leave?
Had a conflict of interest with the owner.
What kind of conflict?
He liked to get drunk and not run his business and leave me there by myself.
What are your work days, Mr. Herber?
I work 6 days a week.
Which 6 days?
Tuesday through Saturday and Sunday. Every other Sunday.
Now let's get to you, Mr. Buchanan. Have you been thinking while I've been asking Mr. Herber these questions?
Yes.
What do you do for a living, sir? What?
Recently I was just terminated from my job.
You were exterminated from your job or terminated from your
terminated?
job?
Did I say exterminated?
I don't know. I couldn't hear.
I'm sorry. Yes, I was in a hospital kitchen, but I had been terminated because I'd gone in on my day off and tried to fax some papers. So. Yeah.
And try to what?
Fax some papers.
So you were fired for theft?
No.
Well, that's what it is, theft.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
There was a time when you were roommates. Are you still roommates?
No, we're not.
Since when?
January 15th, 16th, since the incident that I am being sued for.
So you were roommates and you all got drunk?
Not together.
Separately, individually, but you were all in your house.
Yes.
Drunk. How many of there were you?
Just the 3 of us. This is my witness, Courtney Hollowell. He was there with...
Do you work, Courtney?
Yeah, I do. Oh.
So this is what the case is about, Berg. These 2 idiots got drunk together. Mr. Herber fell asleep on the couch. This is according to what I read. while he was a number 2, wanted to antique him. Now, do you know what that means?
No.
Mr. Buchanan's going to tell me what that means.
I was the one who was antiqued.
Oh, you were antiqued?
Yeah, he's idiot number 2.
Oh, he's, excuse me, idiot number 1. Antiqued idiot number 2.
Yes.
So now, idiot number 1 is going to tell me what it means to antique someone. So what did you do, Mr. Herbera, to Mr. Buchanan?
Antiquing means you get a handful of flour and you throw it in the face of your friend that's passed out at the time.
So when they wake up, if they ever wake up, they're all full of
They're
flour.
all covered in flour. It looks like they're an antique.
That's what's called antiquing.
Gee, I missed out on
you
that.
missed out. I missed out on that. Missed out on that. And then Mr. Buchanan woke up,
Yes.
startled,
Right.
and he got a BB gun. And he started running around after Mr. Herbera with a BB gun, right?
Running after him? No, I wasn't running after him.
What were you doing with the BB gun?
Oh, I was going to go into his room and mess up some of his stuff, shoot some of his belongings.
And because these 2 idiots, and maybe number 3, I haven't spoken to him yet, have been totally vandalizing this house where they're staying, there were no knobs on the doors, you know, just a hole where the knob used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell me what happened, Mr. Herbera?
You want the beginning or from where you
I have other things to do today. I'm a busy person.
Okay, basically I was barricading the door with my body. I was inside my room, holding the door shut because I don't have a lock on it. He had the gun through the hole in the door, shooting randomly into my room. So I was trying to grab the gun with my right hand and point it towards the carpet. And that's when my finger was right over the barrel as he shot. Got lodged in there. I have x-rays of where the BB
I'm not
is.
interested in the x-rays.
Okay.
Can we look?
You want to look?
I want to look.
You want to see the BB in his finger?
see the BB.
I'm more interested how this 24-year-old man who was trying to hold the barrel down so it was pointed, you know, towards the carpet, got his finger in a situation where his finger was covering the barrel.
I want to know that one, too. I
You
just
know?
want to see.
You know? What you want to see?
I just want to see.
Oh, okay. Show it to Bert. He's interested. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in either one of you.
That's a BB. You want to see it?
It struck up against my bone. It was pretty painful.
Now, what did you do after you got this BB stuck in your finger?
Well, I did not realize that it was in my finger at the time, so
I wonder how come you didn't realize it was in your finger.
I had a little too much to drink that night.
Voila. Light bulb. Okay, so after he shot you, you let him in your room? Did he shoot up your room?
No, then I opened the door and said, well, man, you just shot me, and we pushed each other a couple times.
Well, so you did
Shot
realize you were shot.
Oh, yeah, I realized I'd been shot. I didn't realize it was actually in there. I thought it just like
Where'd
maybe
you think
bounced
it
off
went?
or something. Bounced off somewhere.
Go ahead.
The next morning, I woke up with excruciating pain. I went to the emergency room because it hurt so much.
Did you have insurance, Mr. Herbera?
No, I don't. I had to pay cash out of pocket for everything.
And how much did you pay?
A little over $1,400 altogether.
You're suing him for $2,000 because you want some money for pain and suffering and lost wages.
Yes.
Well, I should be suing for pain and suffering because I've had to listen to this nonsense of 2 drunks. Now, what do you think happens when you get drunk?
I never got drunk and been shot with a BB gun. Not once in my life.
All right, Mr. Buchanan.
Hello. I was his former roommate.
Do we have the story? I don't have to hear it
We have
from
the
you.
story. Where would you
We
like
have
me
the
to
story.
start?
I want to hear your explanation as to why you believe you are not responsible for his medical bills.
Yeah, I am not responsible for his medical bills.
Well, tell me why.
I had gone to sleep, like at 4:30 in the morning. I had to work the next day. These 2 guys come in and they throw flour on me. I was very drunk. I grabbed the air rifle and I started shooting in his room randomly. And
Well, I understand that.
yes, and I'm shooting through his door, and he grabs the barrel, the end of the barrel, and puts his finger at the end of it. What fault is it of mine when I don't see through the door? All I know is, you know, I would never do anything malicious towards this man.
I understand that, Mr. Buchanan, but that's what happens when you drink. When you drink, you don't have control over what you do. I assume that if they weren't drunk, they wouldn't have thrown flour on you. They thought it was fun and silly. Yes. Let's say you didn't have a BB gun or an air gun in the house, but you had a .357 Magnum. And this idiot would have put his finger in the barrel of the Magnum. He figured he could stop the bullet. Mr. Buchanan, I don't think you are responsible for his pain and suffering. I think that he caused some of that himself.
Yes.
I don't think you're responsible for his lost wages. I think he caused some of that himself, and he's partially responsible for what happened that day. But I think you are responsible for his medical bills. You have to bear some responsibility for being stupid.
Right.
And for being drunk. And I would suggest to you, Mr. Herbera, that if this is what happens to you when you drink, you're in the wrong business. People who get drunk should not be bartenders. That's a very bad thing.
I personally wouldn't trust a bartender that doesn't drink.
You wouldn't?
No.
Well, Mr. Herber, you're going to be a very successful person. I know I'm going to read about you in Forbes 500 someday. I'm convinced of that. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,400. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. Now, this is case number 459 on the calendar in the matter of Hudson versus Williams. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Miss Hudson, the defendant was your boyfriend who you claim was arrested for domestic violence. His request. You posted $500 bail, and the entire bail was $3,000. You claim he did not report to court as he was supposed to, and therefore you're on the hook for the entire $3,000.
That is correct.
In addition, Mr. Williams, according to you, got into an argument with you at some point about a year ago and kicked your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Williams acknowledges that you paid for the bail, doesn't address the fact that he forfeited bail by not appearing in court, which you'll have to show me. He said, however, that he never asked you to post the bail. It was all your idea. There was never an agreement to return the money to you. And that while he acknowledges that he kicked your car, he says you were trying to run him over and he merely kicked your car to protect himself and to prevent being killed. Is that right, Mr. Williams?
Yep.
Try yes. You'll be much more successful. You're not a stranger to court, are you?
Nah.
Which one is your brother?
Anthony Williams.
Step up. You're his younger brother or older brother?
Older.
When was he arrested?
I can't remember the exact
When
date.
were you arrested for this domestic violence?
December 04.
It was December of 03.
December of 03?
Yes, ma'am.
That's like 2-3 years ago.
How many times have you been arrested, Mr. Williams, since December of 2003?
Once.
When?
Last time right here that we're here for, December of 03, that's the last time I was arrested.
I said since December of 03, have you been arrested again?
Oh, no.
Prior to December 03, were you arrested?
Not to my recollection. I don't remember.
She's going to remember for you in a moment.
Probably so.
Right, Miss Hudson?
Yes, he was detained at our custody hearing for my son for failure to appear or something.
Now, do you have a pretty good memory, Anthony?
Yes.
How many brothers do you have?
Just him?
You love him?
Yes.
Now, he says he was only arrested once that he can remember. That was December of 03, so that must have been a pretty traumatic day for your family, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you would remember that distinctly?
Yes.
Couldn't remember exactly when it was, but you remember the day that your only brother was arrested for the first time, right?
Yes.
So I want you to tell me about it. What happened, Anthony?
Well, I received the collect...
Look at me.
I received a collect call from our brother saying that he was arrested for domestic violence. He asked me to bail him out. I told him I wasn't doing it. So he had me call Rachel, and she agreed that she'll bail him out.
No, what did you say to Rachel when you called her?
I didn't talk to her. I called on three-way. He talked to her, explaining that he needed to be bailed out. So I was told to go pick her up. That's what I did.
And that's what you did?
Yeah, I went and got her.
Perfect. Now you can sit down. Now, it would have been much easier for me to ask her what happened, but I figured that Anthony was a better target because she says that you called her from jail and asked her to bail you out. And you say in your answer that that never happened. You say in your answer, I called my brother. He picked up Rachel and my daughter and they went to the bail bondsman. She took it upon herself to do that. But that's not true, Albert, because according to your brother, it was a three-way conversation, and you spoke to her and asked her to bail you out, right? No, well, either one of two things are true, Albert, my friend. Either your brother's lying or you're lying. So you tell me who is lying, you or your brother?
Nobody.
Well, that's not true. You say that you didn't call her and ask her to bail you out. Your brother says you did.
Called her. I made numerous phone calls when I was in jail. So...
Either you're lying or your brother's lying.
Nobody lying.
Oh, yes. Albert. I mean, I could always make the decision for you if you'd prefer.
Okay, I mean, that's... Nobody's lying, though.
Well, you lied to me in your answer if you said that you didn't call her and you asked your brother to bail you out and she just took it upon herself to come down to the jail and bail bondsman and bail you out. Brother says that's not true. You told her that you'd gotten arrested for domestic violence. You needed to be bailed out. That's what he says you told her.
I didn't get arrested for domestic violence.
What'd you get arrested for?
I got arrested for the simple fact is I picked up my daughter's mother and we got into an argument and I put her out on the freeway. She disrespected me.
What do you think that's called? Section 201.6 of the penal law? I picked up my baby's mother and I put her out on the freeway because she disrespected me? I never heard that. That's not part of the code that I was taught in law school. That's called domestic violence.
All right, that's what you want.
Albert. Okay, here we go. So you went down to the jail, you bailed him out, you put up $500. Is that right?
That's correct.
Perfect. Now show me proof that he didn't appear and that the bail was forfeited and that you are responsible for the $3,000.
The only thing I have is the most recent receipt from the bail bonds that is still a due balance on the bail, which, to my understanding, just means that he never went to court.
Your Honor, I never missed a court date.
He was just arrested for failure to appear, Your Honor.
Never missed a court date. Anything to do with this case, I never missed a court date. When I was released from jail, I went to court. If I missed a court date, they would have arrested me and put me back in jail for missing a court date. I never missed a court date. Anything to do with this case.
Your Honor, here is from our custody hearing, and it says that he was arrested for failure to appear.
Your Honor, that's not for this case. That's for another case.
I thought you weren't arrested again.
He just said he...
Shh, just a second. I thought... Sir, listen to me. I said to you, how many times have you been arrested? You said once, in December 2003. I said, had you been arrested for a while? I don't remember. Before 2003, but certainly not since 2003. So how could you be arrested on another case during the mediation?
That's a case that's from the year 2003.
So that's the case involving your girlfriend?
No. I had another case that I was involved with.
Now you remember? Now it's coming back to you? Albert.
Man, come on, man. I'm trying to sit here and play me.
Now it's coming back to you, sir?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
Ex-boyfriend Albert Williams owes for bail money and for kicking a dent into the side of her car.
Listen, this is not sufficient proof that he did not appear in court. And I suggest you go to the bail bondsman and get that. Certainly, you put up $500 for the bail, correct?
Yes.
All right, and that was in 2003.
Yes, ma'am.
So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get better proof with regard to the $3,000, but certainly he's got to pay you back the $500 if he didn't do it. Did you pay you back the $500?
Nope.
You should have a voice change or something. $500. Now, tell me about the kicking of the car. When did that happen?
In October of 2004.
What took you so long to get here?
What
This is 2006.
Yes, it is. And I filed for this in 05. And in October, I believe it was. But at that point is when I was actually filing for other things for court dealing with him. So I just did it all at the same time.
Listen to me. Get over the kicking of the car that happened in 2004.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you filing against him for? Child support?
Child support and a custody hearing.
Okay, so you have a child together who's now how old?
4.5 months.
So I assume after he kicked your car, you got over that for a little bit.
Well, not really, but we well enough for us to do some things, yes.
Well enough to make a baby?
Yes, ma'am.
Not too clever.
No, but at that time, he first off, his brother knocked out one of the dents in my car. Secondly, he did tell me that he had taken care of the bail and that he would have my car fixed once we got back together.
So he said that he was going to take care of the bail and take care of the cost. He decided to make a baby together.
I didn't say that.
Hi, quiet. Is that what you're telling me? I mean, you sound like...
Well, no, I didn't make the baby intentionally. The child just came. It was an accident.
From the stork?
No.
Come on.
I didn't make it. Let's say this. I didn't make it.
It wasn't planned.
No.
How many children do you have?
He's my first.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
You waited 23 years. You sound like an intelligent woman. What kind of work do you do?
Customer service, ma'am.
You sound like an intelligent woman.
Thank
you really do.
Thank you.
You waited 23 years. You couldn't have picked better.
I know.
What?
I know.
Oh, listen, he owes you the money. He owes you the money for the bail. You have a child together. You are unfortunately bound to him for the next at least 18 years. So this, momentary lapse that you had because you thought he was going to fix your car.
I never told her I was.
Oh. Please, don't make it any worse for her.
I ain't never told her I was. For real, man. Come on, man.
Listen to me. Please, do me a favor. Don't mumble. Not the place to mumble. You owe her $500 for the bail. I don't know if you owe her another $3,000 because you failed to appear. She's going to get paperwork from the court, which will show your failure to appear on the date you were supposed to appear and that you forfeited the bail. Right now, you owe $500.
Well, I got to pay back $500.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because you were the one who got arrested.
I never promised to pay her back no money. She told me it was her job to pay the money. That's why she bailed me out.
You have a...
Man, you all over there with that yada boo-boo face.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Shh. Listen to me.
Okay.
How long have you worked for the same company?
I've been there for 7 months now.
And before...
Prior to that, 2 years with Comcast Cable.
Perfect. Smart gal. Articulate gal.
I understand.
You had a lapse.
Yes, ma'am.
$500 is what he owes you. Lots of good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're going to need it. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of 5.
Kelly Rubin is suing pet sitter Libby Roberts for losing her Siberian Husky while she was on vacation.
Miss Rubin, you hired the defendant to dog sit for you. You were going on vacation?
I did.
And came back from vacation. No dog.
No dog.
Miss Roberts says that's not her fault. The dog was in the backyard. Somebody must have maliciously let the dogs out. What kind of a dog do you have?
It's a Siberian Husky.
How old?
Siberian Husky. She was 13 months when this happened.
How old was she when you got her?
8 weeks old.
Where did you get her from?
Black Hawk, Colorado.
Where do you live?
I am from New York, and now I live in Denver.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Thank you.
How did you find Miss Roberts as a pet sitter?
I put up an ad on Craigslist in a
What's
restraint.
Craigslist for those of us who are functionally illiterate with the internet?
Craigslist is a website that you can post things, you can sell things, you can
Let me
find
see the ad
things.
that you put in.
Normally, Your Honor, I would put her in a shelter. Time that I looked.
Okay. What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Weimaraner.
Okay. You brought the dog on the 21st?
I did.
So what happened?
Me and my husband and my children, we went to the store, and I put the dogs out in the backyard. And I've got a full backyard, fully fenced in, garage, 6-foot fence, and it comes up the side of the house. And there's 2 gates. There's one in the front and there's one in the back. We'd gone to the store. We were gone for only like an hour. And we came back, and the front gate was open, and both the dogs were gone. After I dropped off my husband, the groceries and everything, and we went out, I went out by myself, rather, looking for both dogs. Because mine's super friendly. He'll just go to anybody. Mika was a little bit timid.
Your dog ultimately came back.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Roberts, you want to explain to me why you think you are not responsible to Miss Rubin for her dog?
My yard is completely secure. Somebody
Well,
else.
it's not secure.
Somebody else let them out, and
There's no lock on the gate.
no, ma'am, I cannot lock the gate because there are tenants above me, and the only way they can access their house is through the gates. I can't lock them.
So
They were
just
not.
a second. So, Miss Roberts, in order to get in to the tenant's house, they have to open up the gate and
Yes,
go
ma'am.
in.
But they were not living there at the time. They had not been there for a few weeks.
Well, then why wasn't it locked?
My landlord won't allow me to lock it, period.
Well, then you should have left the dogs inside.
That's right. That's right.
If you have a gate that is unlocked and you want to place your dog at risk of somebody negligently leaving the gate open, that's your prerogative.
I've never had any other problems with somebody opening
Well,
the
you
gate
have
or
a problem
anything.
now. Now, you took on the responsibility and you have to do what is necessary to almost ensure that this dog is returned safely.
And I tried to.
I know. You went looking for it. You took time off from work. You're very sad that it happened. I don't think that you did it purposely. But here, you knew that that gate is unlocked. Both gates. There are 2 gates.
Yes, ma'am.
Someone could have inadvertently left it open. Do you have children?
Yes, but they were with me. And they were both
You have-
closed at the time.
Just a second. But you have children. Maybe one of the children went in the back and instead of closing it all the way, left it open a little bit so it blew open. You never know what happens. All you know is that you took a responsibility for her dog. She no longer has custody of her dog. I assume you posted notices all over.
Oh, yeah.
I assume so. Dog is beautiful. And if it's any comfort, probably in a very good home someplace, somebody found her. Did she have a collar on?
No, ma'am.
Why
No
not?
collar.
Because when I was at Miss Rubin's house and stuff like that, she never had a collar on. And I don't put a collar on my dog either unless I'm walking around.
When Miss
public.
Rubin brought the dog to your house, did she bring it with a collar or without?
I had a collar and a leash because I went to Miss Rubin's house and picked the dog up.
When you brought the dog back, did Miss Rubin give you a collar with an identification tag?
I don't know if it had a tag on it, but she did have a collar and a leash.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Also, in my apartment,
Did the collar have a tag on it?
2.
And if you're leaving the dog outside, at least if the dog had a collar, there would be some indication of how to get in touch with the owner. If you chose to leave your dog without that kind of protection, you had no right to leave her dog without that kind of protection. How much did you pay for the dog?
I paid $400 for the dog.
Your Honor, she told me she paid $500 for the dog. And her parents told me the same thing. Because her parents, and her mom, her dad, and her brother all called me the day she was flying back, saying that it's my fault.
It
I
is your
ruined
fault.
Christmas. They
It is your
accused me of
fault.
selling the dog on the black market.
No,
I mean,
I hope
ridiculous
you-
things.
I certainly hope that you didn't do that, Miss
Oh,
Roberts.
no.
This dog was my daughter. It was my family away from home. I'm from New York.
Miss
She was
Rubin.
my best friend.
Miss Rubin, you are certainly the cost of your dog, vet bills, damages, in some measure. Miss Roberts did not take adequate care of your dog. But I'm going to suggest this to you. If this dog was your home away from home, your life, I would not entrust it to somebody that I met for a second on the internet.
Great false judgment.
You
Huge
did.
false judgment.
That's not suggesting to you it's your fault, but I'm just telling you in the future, you don't place a child that you have in the care of someone that you find on the internet, and you don't place a pet that you love and that's your life and you're home away from home with somebody that you never met before because you don't know anything about her judgment. I mean, worst comes to worst, you cancel your trip. That's your alternative. If you can't find anybody to take care of your baby, you cancel the trip. So if the kennels are full, you cancel your trip. But you don't place that you're shaking your head, but you don't let the dog be in the company of someone who is not responsible or who you would think maybe sold your dog on the black market. Right? If you could think that, that suggests to me you didn't do what we call in the law a due diligence. You didn't check up enough. You didn't say to her, well, Miss Roberts, have you ever done dog sitting before? Please give me the name of a reference so that I can check. Right?
Right.
You said, well, I want to go home for the holidays. I found somebody who's prepared to take care of her. Here's $20 a day. Goodbye. Not using your noodle. All right. No. Paid $400, Miss Roberts. I don't know why you would say her parents said she paid $500, probably the tax and food and everything else. She had vet bills and everything else. I'm sure, having pets myself, I know how much that costs.
I have the vet bills, too.
How much did they come to?
$432.58.
That's pretty reasonable.
I was on a wellness plan.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $832. That's all.
25-year-old Regina Moraga is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old Jason Davis, for kicking a dent into the side of her car and for his share of a trip to Hawaii.
Miss Moraga, this young man used to be your live-in boyfriend. You broke up and claim he owes you for a whole bunch of things.
Correct.
First, over a year ago, you had an argument and he kicked your car. You want him to pay for the debts on your car. After that, you sort of forgave him. You went back to living together. And then you decided to go to Hawaii. He didn't have any money. According to you, you laid out the money with his promise to pay you back. Then later you had an argument. You broke up with him. He moved out. And you want him to pay his share of the last 4 months' rent after you broke up with him.
Right.
Mr. Davis says, well, he did in fact lose his temper and kick your car, but you forgave him.
Correct.
That's what he says. And you agree with him. You forgave him.
Yes.
Then he says that you knew he didn't have money to go to Hawaii. You said, I'll take care of it. He has a limited income, and you were aware of that. As far as the rent is concerned, Mr. Davis says you live in a one-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
You broke up with him, so he left. And he found a different place to live, where I assume you have to pay rent.
Most definitely.
Yes would be sufficient, Mr.
Yes.
Davis. When did he kick your car? I forget it. When did you kick her car?
I don't know the exact date. It was quite some time ago.
Why did you kick her car?
We've been in a kind of a rocky relationship, going back and forth, breaking up, making up.
Did you kick her car badly?
Badly enough to dent it.
You have a picture of
Yes,
it?
I have a picture.
I'd like to see it.
I have
What
several
kind of
pictures.
car is it?
It's a Honda Civic.
How old?
2000?
Did you have it fixed?
No, I still haven't had it fixed because I'm waiting for him to pay for it. I'm not going to take my own money to pay for something that he did.
Did you really kick this car this badly, sir?
I have to see the dents, but yeah, I dented
You can
it.
see the footprints
Just
on
a
it.
second. What are you, a nut? Why did you kick her car?
I do have a comment. I've watched like Judge Hatchet and whatnot, and I do believe I need anger management, but I'm a starving student, and if
Mr. Davis,
the court
Mr.
would
Davis,
allow...
Mr. Davis, I'm not interested in your story.
You're not interested in helping me?
No, I'm not interested. I'm not
Okay.
interested in helping
I was
you.
just...
Mr. Davis,
Judge,
I'm
Ms.
not
Hatchet.
interested in helping you, and I'm not interested in starving student. I'm interested in you looking at the pictures and telling me, sir, whether or not that's what you did. Okay? I mean, I'm not your mother. You want to go over and see Judge Hatchet? She's a terrific gal. Very good friend of mine. She likes to help people. I don't. I have 5 children and 11 grandchildren. I don't need anybody else to help. You owe her the money to have this taken care of. Can I see an estimate, please? $2,883.08. Next, trip to Hawaii.
That was in August 2005.
This was after he dented.
Correct.
Yeah, I wouldn't have lent him a penny.
Well, I was naive at that time, and I thought
What made you get smart?
Well, because he said he was going to get help, anger management classes. We were, reconciling things, and he was going to get better and with his temper.
Miss Moraga, I wouldn't have taken him on a trip to Hawaii until the dents were fixed on my car.
But he's a student, and he always agreed that he would pay once he got, a good enough job.
Well, he didn't get a good enough job. He's still a student.
Yeah, and we always talked.
Listen, madam.
Yes.
He said he was going to pay you back for the trip to Hawaii when he got a good enough job?
Correct.
He didn't get a good enough job.
He's still a student when he graduates.
Well, then you're here too soon, madam.
Yeah, but we broke up before that.
That's not my problem.
But regardless, he's supposed to pay me back, correct?
When he gets a good job and he graduates. Neither of those two eventualities have occurred. Did he also say the same thing with regard to the car?
In regards to the car, he was supposed to pay me off throughout our relationship, but that never happened.
Why didn't you pay for the car?
I didn't take it as that was the case. I took it under the understanding that as us getting back together and moving towards getting married, that all of our expenses were our expenses.
Well, that would be true, sir, except that expenses that were incurred as a result of your criminal activity do not become her debt. This is criminal activity. It's vandalism.
I understand.
Very good. I'm glad you understand. So far, you owe $2,883. The Hawaiian trip, you'll see him when he gets a job after his
But we're no longer together, though.
That makes no difference. This is a court. You want to go on Jerry Springer? Go on Jerry Springer. This is a court. You had a contract. Your contract with him was, according to you, that when he graduates from college and gets a good job, he'll pay you back for the trip to Hawaii.
But if we break up because of his temper...
No, that's not what he said at all. You break up because of his temper. You knew his temper. You knew his temper before you took him to Hawaii.
Yeah, but he...
Get over it, Mrs. Morangi. You made a mistake. You're a young girl. You don't hang around with somebody who's got enough of a temper to do this to your property. He does this to your property, he'll do it to your face.
Well, when he says he's going to pay me back for the trip for Hawaii, that's what I expected. And I didn't think that we were going to break up. I didn't think this was going to happen. So now I have to suffer and pay for him.
That's absolutely right. Stupidity sometimes suffers. After somebody kicked my car like this, I wouldn't have taken him to Hawaii.
But it's not fair.
Not fair. Life isn't fair. You're supposed to be smarter. And you're also not supposed to live with somebody in a one-bedroom apartment. You broke up with him because of his temper?
We broke up. It was a mutual agreement.
Well, where did you expect him to sleep?
In the front room.
It's a one-bedroom apartment. What's the front room?
Well, he broke a lease, correct? So if he breaks the lease, he has to pay the remaining balance on the 4 months that he...
Not if you put him out.
I didn't put him out. We broke up.
Yeah?
I told him he can stay there. I'm a student, so I needed his money.
What about you leaving?
I could have left too, but he couldn't afford it. He couldn't afford the $925. I could afford it on the other hand.
You living there alone now?
Yes, I am.
You affording it?
Kind of.
Good. Pay for it. He owes you $2,000.
All parties in the matter of Stebbins versus Quillhot. Step forward, please.
19-year-old pre-med student Kinsey Stebbins is suing her former year-old Tiffany Quillhot and her mother, Rebecca. Paid rent and utilities.
Miss Stebbins, you and the defendant leased an apartment, this young lady leased an apartment together. Signed a 12-month lease?
Yes.
And it is your complaint that she moved out prior to the termination of the lease, leaving you to pay the rent, which you want her to pay, utilities. You are also suing her mother because it is your claim that her mother guaranteed that she would pay her half of the rent for the rest of the year. The defendant says that she paid for 1 or 2 months after she moved out, giving you ample opportunity to find somebody else. She gave her 30-day notice. She has no intention of paying for utilities in an apartment that she's not using, and her mother says she never guaranteed to pay the rent for the entire year. How long did you know each other before you moved in together?
A couple months.
From where?
School.
College?
Yes.
Were you both working?
Yes.
How much was the rent on the apartment?
$625 with a $50 deductible for a year lease.
When did you sign the lease, Miss Stebbins?
November 9th of 2004.
When did you move out?
March 30th, 2004. 5.
Why?
Because I had lost my job, and the living conditions I wasn't very happy with, so I decided to move back home because my mom had made the statement that she would pay for my rent if I moved home.
Is that what you told your daughter?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Why did you do that?
Well, I knew she couldn't afford it. She was in an apartment that was costing her way too much money. She is my only child, and it is my obligation to help her out.
So you agreed to pay for the remainder of the lease?
I agreed to pay it with Tiffany. I did not make any type of a verbal agreement with Miss Stebbins.
Did you tell that to Miss Stebbins, that your mother agreed to pay for the rent?
Yes, I did.
Did you rely on that?
Yes, I did.
Why didn't you pay her?
About 3 or 4 weeks after Tiffany moved out of the apartment, she had a conversation with Kinsey, and Kinsey had made the statement that she was going to have her boyfriend moved in.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Ex-roommate Tiffany Quillhot broke their lease. Tiffany says Kinsey's boyfriend was supposed to take her place.
Did you tell the defendant that you had intentions of having your boyfriend move into the apartment?
At the time, I had discussed it with her about it, but she already had a boyfriend living there, so I asked her if it would be okay if he could move in. Things changed over time, but...
After she moved out, Miss Stebbins, we're not talking about while you were all living together and having a nice time. After she moved out, did you have a discussion with Tiffany that you plan to have your boyfriend move into the apartment.
No, this was before when she was still living there.
Is that right?
No, it is not.
When did she have the discussion with you?
April 8th that I had that discussion with her.
Well, tell me about the discussion that you had with her on April 8th.
My boyfriend and I had came to the apartment because I was going to get some stuff, and she had a note posted up on the door as you walked in stating that if I wanted to come into the apartment, she would be charging me $20.
But you had paid April.
Your Honor, could I add something, please? On the 1st of April, Tiffany tried to enter the apartment to get some of her things, only to find that the locks had been changed without her notice.
Is that right?
No. The locks had been changed because the manager had suggested it and said that he gave me a key for Tiffany and a key for me. But Tiffany had not called me or contacted me, and I was at work.
Okay, but you had already given 30-day notice to the landlord.
Not at that time.
When did you give notice to the landlord?
April 29th is when I signed my 30-day lease, and then I moved out officially on May 2nd.
Where's the boyfriend?
Not living there.
Why didn't the boyfriend move in?
I made a decision that I should live on my own and I should do my own things, and that right now I should be concentrating on school and work. I have 2 jobs now to pay for the apartment, and I'm going to school full-time.
The boyfriend's not in the picture?
No.
At all?
No.
That sounds like a really good idea. He'd been in prison?
Yes.
For how long?
Jail for 3 months.
There. Yeah. Going to school, 2 jobs. You need somebody to spend 3 months in jail?
No.
Right. He's smart. Okay. Well, not a very difficult thing. You said you were going to pay the rent.
I was under the impression there was somebody else living there. I thought, I'm not going to pay for somebody else to live there.
He's not living there?
No.
Sure?
Yes.
You'd have no problem with her checking, right?
No.
Okay, so we have May, June, July, August, September, and October. 6 months' rent. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you do understand that I'm making this award based solely on the fact that the boyfriend is not there and that nobody else lives there. Who is this?
This is my friend who was there at the time when Tiffany broke the security lock on the door to get into the apartment. She was sleeping on the couch. I was in my bedroom with the door shut.
What was she doing sleeping on the couch?
That's right. I have no other place to have anyone sleep. She was staying the night.
What's your name?
Alexis Campbell.
You go to school?
I'm studying in fall.
You work?
Yep.
Where do you work?
Thunder Bay Grill.
Who do you live with?
My mother.
Why were you staying over that night?
We just do that. We hang out, we stay together, watch movies, eat.
How much rent do you pay your mother?
Well, I'm not paying until I start my job on the 17th. I don't have to pay rent yet. But when I live there, I pay her $50, and then I also pay for half the groceries, and I buy my own clothes and everything.
Mm-hmm. I think you spend a lot of time over at the plaintiff's house.
Sometimes.
And how long have you been spending these several evenings over at the plaintiff's house?
Years. We spent the night at each other's houses when we were
She
living
hasn't
with
spent
my
the night
parents.
at your house in the last couple of months because she's had her own apartment.
Yeah.
So you spend time at her house, right?
Right.
Miss Stebbins, I just changed my mind a little bit. I think that this young lady spends an awful lot of time at your house. So I think that they're going to be responsible for part of the rent. But I think she's going to be responsible for part of the rent after she gets her job, because I think that that's your intention.
I'm not moving in with her.
You may not, but if you spend a lot of time there, you should. Think about it, because instead of giving your mother $50 a week, you give her $50 a week and stay there full time. Why should she pay for your staying at the apartment?
I prefer to live by myself. I have no plans to move in with her.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That should cover your expenses for a little bit of time, madam. After that, I suggest that you either get her to pay a little rent or find another...
7 on the calendar in the matter of Blakely versus Burns. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Blakely, the defendant was your boyfriend for a period of time. Do you have a child together?
Yes, we do.
How old is that child?
18.
According to your complaint, you were living together and Burns was arrested for domestic violence.
Yes,
you
he
were
was.
the complainant in that case. Mr. Burns had 2 prior felonies, and he was held in jail for 9 months while the trial was pending. And according to you, you advanced him certain monies by putting money on his prison books so that he would have money to spend while he was in jail, and also paying some of his bills while he was in jail, all according to you with the understanding that he was going to pay you back when he got out.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Burns says there was never an agreement to pay you back, that the reason you paid all these bills was because you felt sorry to begin with for getting the police involved with Mr. Burns, because you really didn't expect him to be incarcerated for so long. As a matter of fact, you tried to have the charges dismissed all during the 9-month period. I believe that you acknowledged that you did. Is that right?
Yes.
And ultimately, he probably took a plea to some misdemeanors. A misdemeanor assault and a disorderly conduct?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you weren't going to risk going to trial and being found guilty of a felony, which would have meant forever. Had a fast statement?
Fairly adequate, Your Honor.
And then when he got out of jail, despite the fact that you thought he was coming home to you, he went back to his ex-wife.
Right.
So you want your money?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Burns has already responded and said that there were no loans, that this is money that you paid voluntarily. And he is counterclaiming, and I read through his counterclaim, and mostly, sir, aside from all the other nonsense, you're asking for your personal property back.
Correct.
What personal property do you have in her house?
My clothes, DVD players, CDs, DVDs, golf clubs, law books.
Where's all of his stuff?
Jewelry.
Miss Blakely.
In the back of my Jeep. I brought it with me.
Oh, great. What did you bring?
Everything that he asked for. He only had one DVD when he showed up, and that's what he's going home with. He came in a U-Haul truck with my daughter.
When did he come to your house?
July 1st on 2004.
Where had he been before?
In 29 Palms.
With your daughter?
Yes.
How long was your daughter living with her father?
Until his wife decided she wanted to beat on Nikki, and Nikki left.
All right. Okay. Now, do you have his golf clubs there?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
And they're all still straight?
Yes.
All right. Everything that's in the back of your car, make sure he gets.
He will.
We'll see to it that there is certain security there to make sure that that's a transition. All right. Now, let's hear about this money. She laid out money for you?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
She put money on my books.
Did you ask her to?
No, ma'am.
If she didn't put money on your books, how is the money going to get there?
You can pay over the internet. She used my credit card to put money on my books.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it. JPay 105, jpay.com for $207.95. Okay, so I have some money there. Now let me see what you paid.
I have paid. It's all marked in my calendar.
I'm not interested in your calendar. I'm interested in proof that you put money on his books.
It's kind of hard that way in that because I would mark on the calendar every time I put money on his books. There was 2 times that I did use his account with his permission that to go through JPay. And that other than that...
Listen, madam, listen to me very carefully. I gather from his answer that you are no stranger to using his ATM card and taking money out without authorization, because that was already dealt with and the bank returned the money. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
listen
but
to me. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
All I want to see, Miss Blakely, is proof, not your calendar, money orders, checks, bank statements that you, from your own personal account, took money and put it on his books.
The ones that say court are is the money and so forth that I...
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Just a second. This has nothing on it. Give this back to her. So far, you have receipts for $200. All right, let us assume for a moment, Mr. Burns, that she put $200 in your account.
The only question I have on that, ma'am, is on those money orders.
Mm-hmm.
First off, when she did put money on my books, it was at Todd Road facility, not at the Ventura courts, and it was cash. And she
Just
was
a
giving
second. Hold
cash
on a second.
receipt.
Can you please tell me what date you were in jail, sir?
I was arrested February 23rd, 2004, or
Yes.
2005, excuse me,
Yes.
and I was released from custody 11/29/05.
Well, this receipt that you just gave me was November 3rd, 2004.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going through a bunch.
So now I have 2 receipts for $50. Mr. Burns, listen to me very carefully, sir. You know what this $5,000 case is going to cost you, sir? It's going to cost you $100. Is that a bargain?
Sold.
You're absolutely right.
Can't I prove my collect calls?
Absolutely not. We wouldn't be here today if he didn't go back to his former wife. There's no question in my mind about that. Now, that's a good reason for you to be really annoyed.
Well, it's not that I'm...
Yes, you are.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Get over it. The romance is over.
Claims ex-boyfriend Stephen Burns owes for the money she gave him while he was in prison.
You feel used, you feel abused, you feel as if you didn't do the right thing. The truth of the matter is, I don't know about this alleged assault that took place, but clearly from what you told me in your complaint, you drove the district attorney crazy because after you had him arrested, all you kept doing was going to court and trying to drop the charges. Then you went, you got his ATM and the PIN number, and you took money out of his bank account.
I have a letter here with his permission.
That he gave you permission to take money out of his bank?
Yes.
How much money did you take out of his bank?
What he told me to take out.
Just tell me what.
His $400.
What did you do with it?
It went through JPay.
Miss Blakely, get over it. The romance is over. So
I
you
don't
took
care
out
about
his
it.
money and paid the prison books with his money, and now you're suing him for that
his money. He had his Social Security.
Kimberly is countersuing, claiming Alice broke her arm.
All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 22 on the calendar in the matter of Moore versus Kayla.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Whew. Family that certainly does not get along well. Miss Moore, the defendant is your niece.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that she had you falsely arrested for assaulting her last year during the time that your mother was ill and dying.
Yes, ma'am.
You went through a trial recently and were acquitted.
Yes,
found
ma'am.
not guilty. And you're suing her for the false arrest and for the year that you spent facing these charges. The defendant says that the charges were true and that she is counterclaiming for her injuries. Her injuries, I believe, were broken arm.
Yes, ma'am.
When was your mother ill last year?
My mother became ill early in January, but she really got bad in March of, it was 2003.
And when did this incident occur with your niece?
March the 10th, after I flew to Texas to be beside my mother who was dying at her home.
So you tell me your version of what happened, what led up to this incident.
Saturday afternoon, my sister, Brenda, had instructed me to give medication to my mother every 4 hours without stopping. And it put my mother in a very...
What kind of medicine was it?
One was a morphine and the other one was for anxiety.
Your mother had cancer?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of cancer did she have?
Cancer of the liver.
So the morphine was prescribed to keep her calm.
Yes, ma'am, but on the prescription of the bottle, it says every 4 hours as needed. And my question was, that night she was totally out of it, and my brother he was there that night, and he had to pick my mother up out of the bed because she could not move at all. And we did not give her the medication every 4 hours like my sister had instructed, and I had asked my other sister in the morning about the medication.
So that caused a problem with your niece?
They were all upset because I would not give the medication like that. But anyway, Sunday night, I left and went out to another sister's house to rest. And when I came, that morning on Monday, came back in the afternoon, and I'd come to the conclusion I couldn't handle seeing my mother's death.
Okay.
Because of my heart condition and my nerves.
Okay, you couldn't handle it. Okay.
And I was talking to my husband on the phone, and I told him he could reach me. I was on the porch, and I told him he could reach me out at my other sister's. Brenda got mad at me, and I don't want to have a consultation with my mother dying.
Why was she angry with you? What was she saying?
She just felt that I was there trying to take over, and she was already had said that she was going to come out there and whip on me on Monday, and I didn't pay any attention to that in a phone call that we had.
Was that over the medication?
Yes.
Is that so far, is that right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, step up. Brenda, what were you angry about?
I wasn't angry with her. I was actually relieved that she was there to help us because we had had 3 months prior of taking care of my mother. Everybody was stressed out. It was a bad time. My sister had called me and she told me that the hospice people had told her not to give my mother the medication except when she needed it. I told her specifically, Alice, when you're there, you do what you need to do. I told her I was calling a meeting with the hospice people on Monday. The whole family would be there. We could all understand. I learned more about death than I ever wanted to know with my mother. And I didn't want to go through this by myself. I wanted my sisters there. I wanted help. Right. So when we asked for a meeting, she said 10 o'clock. My sister couldn't be there. She was so concerned about my mother and the medication, but she couldn't be there to see what the hospice people... We were doing exactly what they said. Exactly what they said.
Which is medicating her every 4 hours and not letting the pain grab hold of her.
Right.
Well, and they
That's
told us,
exactly how they explained it to her,
Right.
to us. You know, when the pain kicks in, this is how she's going to be. Don't let the
Don't
pain
let it
come.
get there.
You know,
Right.
we'd been there with her. We didn't want to let the pain come. Nobody, you know, she was going to die. We knew that. We wanted it to be peaceful.
I got it.
and that was my mother's wish, to die at home.
Kim, tell me what happened in the kitchen on the 10th of March.
Well, I was in the bedroom with my grandmother, and I heard them in the kitchen. And she's telling her, you know, you took her out of the nursing home. You shouldn't have took her out of the nursing home. She's going to die. She's going to bleed. You know, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And they were telling her, then leave. You know, that's fine. If you can't take it,
Put your hand down, Miss
leave.
Moore.
You know. And when I looked outside, she was slapping at my mother. And another one of my aunts stepped in. Well, she grabbed her and she threw her down to the floor. Alice threw my other aunt down.
What's
to
her
the
name?
floor. Her name was Billy.
Go ahead.
And then of course, I had walked in there in the middle of this, and my brother walked in, and she started screaming at my brother. And she was screaming obscenities that you would not believe. And she was, then she started out the door, and my brother went out after her. Well, I went out after him. Then she coming out there, and she's telling me, we need to just call an ambulance for Billy. We need to just go. So I'm going back in the house, and I get the phone to call the police. And as I walk back outside, because I'm hearing screaming now back at the porch. And I'm like, well, I thought she was going to leave. She wasn't leaving. And it's because her daughter over there was telling her, you don't have to leave. They can't make you leave. This is your mama's house. You don't have to leave. Her daughter was put in a quarter. And she knows if you push her, she's going to lose it. She has a history of violence and just psychotic behavior. And I look at her and I told her, just go. Just get the out of here. That's why I told her, just get the... And I'm pointing at her. And as I'm pointing at her, she grabs this arm. And she pulls her steps between us, and she popped my arm down over her daughter's shoulder. It broke this bone up here into pieces. They had to go in and put a rod. I have a permanent rod in the middle of my bone.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was leaving and they attacked me.
Her niece, Kimberly Kayla, had her falsely arrested for an assault. Kimberly says during an argument, Alice broke her arm.
What happened to Billy?
Billy was taken to the hospital also, and she had some sciatic nerve damage in her back.
She was taken to the hospital that day?
Yes. But Billy and I were both taken to the same hospital in the same ambulance.
What hospital?
To Spine Memorial Hospital.
Have a police report for me, please.
Yes.
It's right there.
Okay, Miss Moore, coming back to you. Now we're going to come to the point in this story where you're going to tell me your version of how her arm got broken.
Well, first of all, there was a consultation in the house, and Brenda held me and Kim, and I have a sworn testimony from the court where my attorney said, and you slapped her, and she said yes. At that time, she
Just a second. Who slapped you?
Kim hit me in the face with the telephone while my sister held me in the kitchen and would not let me leave.
Let me see the testimony. Oh, well, she says, do you remember slapping Alice? She said, yeah. I told you in the kitchen when she was pulling my hair and we were going back and forth. And you slapped her? Yes.
But, Judge, I could not be pulling her hair.
Just a minute. Don't explain. You have to read me the whole thing, Miss Moore.
Okay.
She didn't just admit slapping you. She said you were pulling her hair and you were going back and forth and she slapped you.
At the time she slapped me, I had my hands restrained by my sister Brenda.
I would like you to tell me how her arm got broken.
Well, from there, I went outside and was leaving. At that time, her brother stopped me from going to the car. He pounced over the porch and pulled his hand back to hit me. And you're looking at a guy, I wouldn't take my eyes off because he lives weight and he could have killed me. And he said all kinds of things to me as I was trying to leave. My daughter stood in between us to stop it.
Okay, so your daughter got in between you and her brother.
Right.
Okay.
And as I was looking for my granddaughter, Kim...
Just a second. If your daughter got in between the two of you, why didn't you go back to your car?
I was going, but my granddaughter had the keys to my car.
Where were you looking for her?
Right there in front of my mother's house.
Well, you just have to look. How old is your granddaughter? Is she a little teeny girl?
Yes.
How old is she?
I thought she was about 11 or 12. That's what she looks like.
How old?
She just turned 18, Judge.
So she was 16 at the time.
15. She hadn't turned 16 yet.
Out looking for her on the ground, madam. Listen to me. If you're looking for your granddaughter who's outside, and the people who are outside, according to you, your nephew, and your daughter, that's 3 people. That's who you told me were outside, and you were looking for your granddaughter around that area.
And Kim came off the porch, charged off the porch with something and hit me in the face, and I could not see. I put my hands up, and I have pictures of where she hit me in the head, and I couldn't see at that time.
Just a second. Hold on a second. Show me the pictures that you have. I don't see anything wrong with your head,
I
ma'am.
had a goose egg right here.
And
It
not,
shows
not according to the police report.
the police did not come and check me out at all or anything. I went to the hospital, to the emergency room.
Let me see the medical records from the hospital. According to the police report, when they spoke to you, there was nothing wrong with you, except you were complaining of chest pains. That's
There's
according
where I
to
was
two police
admitted in the
officers. Listen to
hospital.
me. That's what the police said. You complained of. Not a goose egg on your head, not being hit on your head. They took you to the hospital for observation. Because, listen to me, because of the chest pains. What I want you to do is give me the hospital record.
I don't have that part.
Well,
that
that's what
I could not
need.
get that part in time for court today.
Well, that's unfortunate because you've had over a year to get that hospital record. Who are you?
I'm her husband, Your Honor.
Were you there?
I talked to her at 7 o'clock.
He was on the phone when I went in to tell her I was leaving.
She was leaving.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't.
My daughter Frankie was there.
Oh, I believe Frankie was there. You can step up, Frankie. I believe you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
How did your cousin's arm get broken?
By her brother yanking her arms. When she had my mother's head, she grabbed my mother by her left, with her left hand, with Kim's left hand, by her hair, yanked her head over where she's completely bent over. My mother's face is touching the cement. Kim's brother runs from behind Kim and grabs Kim with his arms like this, and he's pulling her, and she's hitting my mother upside the head with the cordless phone in her right hand, and I grab at the phone, and Scott is pulling Kim at both of her arms backwards. No one touched her arms except for her own brother.
Okay, fine. You can sit down. It's very unfortunate when everybody gets stressed out in a situation where...
What was
I'm speaking. It's very unfortunate when people get stressed and angry because somebody who's close to them is dying. And put the picture down, madam. Pay attention to me. The first mistake that you made was not listening. Your mother was dying of liver cancer. The instructions that you were given to give her morphine every 4 hours were the appropriate instructions. I am not a medical person, but unfortunately I have been in situations where I know that you're not supposed to wait until you are in pain, as needed, when you are dying. You're supposed to keep medicated so that the pain of liver cancer doesn't. So these people were taking care of your mother for months before you got there. And then pay attention, try to get it through. And then you come to the scene and decide, this isn't right. The medication says as needed. I'm not going to give her the medication every 4 hours. And everybody is annoyed at that situation because you're sort of a Johnny-come-lately. They've been there for months taking care of the situation, making decisions without you. They took care of, they were the ones who were up at night, they were the ones who were feeding, and all of a sudden you show up and decide to change the rules. Big mistake. You weren't saving your mother's life, Miss Moore. She was going to die. I'm speaking. She was going to die anyway. The question was she going to die peacefully and not in pain ever? Or whether you were going to try your method of treatment was let her get a little bit uncomfortable and then we'll give her the medication as needed. Unfortunately, you made a mistake in your choice. I do not believe your daughter when your daughter says that you were beaten over the head with a phone because there is nothing in any of the official records, including hospital records, which you had every opportunity to get over the last year and a half, that suggests that when you were admitted to the hospital for your chest pains, they noted bruising and swelling on your head that would be consistent with your being hit over the head repeatedly, according to you, and according to your daughter, with a cell phone. So I do not believe you were falsely charged. And I believe you broke her arm.
Oh, ma'am,
I believe that you... I'm speaking.
I did not. I was leaving and they attacked me.
Okay.
That's all I was doing was leaving.
You may have convinced
they
you,
would
Miss
let
Moore.
me leave.
You may
I
have...
didn't care about what medicine they gave Mother. They attacked me. They didn't take my statement. The police didn't let me give a statement. My lawyer will testify to that. Why don't you call her?
Listen to me. I don't want to go any further with this,
And
Miss
I
Moore,
was
because I'm
found not
speaking.
guilty of all of those.
I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Speak.
I swear I did not.
Listen to me very
Where's
carefully.
the Bible? I took a lie detector's test even, and I did not touch them. None
Your
of them.
case is dismissed. Did you have any unreimbursed medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
What were they? Unreimbursed medical
Well,
bills.
I have $7,000 right here.
Judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused.
All right. That.
Yeah, this is case number 112 on the calendar in the matter of Neville versus Hubble.
What can I tell you?
Hubble. Parties have been sworn in, Your
What
Honor.
do you
You may
still
be
owe?
seated. Okay.
$6,165.52. You understand that the limit court can order is $5,000 judgment for the
She and
plaintiff
your
in the
son
amount of
have been divorced
$5,000.
for
That's
5
all.
years.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
How old is that child?
He's 9.
All right, now, Miss Neville, I have a few questions for you. While Miss Hubel was married to your son, did you get along?
Yeah.
Did she come over to your house for dinner?
Well, actually, they lived with me till he was almost 2.
So she lived with you?
Correct.
Must have gotten along.
Yes, we did.
And when they moved out into their own place, did they still come back with your grandson?
Correct. I babysat him when they worked, whenever they went out.
But then the marriage went south.
Correct.
And it is your claim that your former daughter-in-law has embarked upon a campaign of harassment, slander, defamation of your character that has gone on for a very long time. You want her to pay for that. Ms. Hubel says quite the contrary. When she was in the midst of a custody battle with your son, you called Child Protective Services on her often. You've harassed her over the years with complaints to Child Protective Services and the police.
Oh, yes.
And as a result of that, she's filed a counterclaim. When did the trouble start with Miss Hubel?
My son was taking my younger son, Dylan, and Jeffrey back to drop him off at his mother's work, the daycare. I was in between my bus routes. I'm a school bus driver. It was pouring down rain. He doesn't drive. So I ran down and gave them a ride up the hill about 1,500 feet to the daycare and dropped him off in front. And my grandson was ecstatic. Grandma dropped him off in the bus. I wasn't on my route. He ran in and I saw him gather all the kids. They came to the window and they're all waving at me. So I smiled and waving at him. She walked over and slapped him and told him to get away from the window. I'm sorry. My older son was there, and they turned from the window. Her and the employees, which were friends of hers, said, "Let's call the school district and get her in trouble." I didn't know what was going on at the time. I went back on my route. I get a phone call on my bus. My supervisor goes, "Debbie, what's going on?" I go, "I don't know what happened." She said, "Some lady called and said you kidnapped her kid on her bus." And I said, "No, the only thing I did was pick up my grandson and my son." I was mortified.
So that's when the trouble started. What happened with that incident, Miss Hubel?
Actually, what had happened was, after numerous amount of times of her dropping Jeffrey off on the school bus without permission, I called the school district and spoke to her supervisor, with whom I have a letter stating that I was not harassing in any way, and that she was spoken to and told that he was not allowed because he was not assigned that.
Okay. Had you, in the past, told your mother-in-law that you didn't want him riding the school bus?
No, we were not to be speaking at that
Why
time.
not?
There was orders.
So that the trouble started before that?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I want to know when the trouble started.
The problem started actually before I left Joshua, my ex-husband. Probably it was the first time that he was arrested for assaulting me. My son was 2 at the time. From that point on, there was no kindling of the relationship with me and Debbie.
Okay. How many times had he been arrested for assaulting you?
Twice for assaulting me. The last time he slammed me into a wall and tore my rotator cuff, and I had to have surgery.
Has he been convicted?
He sure has.
Did he serve any jail time?
Yes, he did.
How long?
He was sentenced to 30 days, but he ended up having an ankle bracelet because of whatever kind of medication he was taking. They wouldn't allow in the jail.
What kind of medication does he take?
Marinol.
What is that for?
I don't. All I know is it's THC in a pill. I don't know what it's for.
What kind of ailment does he have?
None that I'm
Do you
aware
know?
of.
Yes.
What?
He has a cancerous esophagus. He has a heart condition, and he has epileptic seizures. So
Okay.
he's on.
You didn't tell me he was convicted of assaulting his former wife.
I need to clear something up.
Uh-huh.
Number one, the lease was in my name. I rented the building because it gave them an opportunity to have their own place.
I'm not interested in that. My question, Miss Neville, is I asked you when the trouble began, and what you said was it started over this bus incident, which would have sounded really petty to me.
Yeah.
For her to file a complaint if she had a problem with you. You would all live together, pick up the phone and say, Debbie, I don't want you dropping Jeffrey off on the bus. But that didn't happen.
Correct.
So the problem started before. And common sense would indicate to me you would have not been happy with your son's arrest for assault and spending any time in jail. And that probably precipitated the bad feeling between the two of you, which predated the school bus incident.
No, it didn't. She misled you on that fact.
No,
So what you're saying is the assault occurred before the school bus incident.
Oh, yes, this was before we were divorced. The first incident was before we were divorced. The second incident was in February of 2003.
And when was the school bus incident?
January 30th, 2003.
What was the second assault about?
He came into where I worked, All About Kids, to do a visitation with my son. He came to pick up Jeffrey, and he slammed me into the door jamb of a wall and tore my rotator cuff, took off with Jeffrey. The police came. They went and found Josh and Jeffrey.
What was the altercation about?
A coat. A coat.
Now, I understand that you don't like each other. Don't like each other, I don't get involved in. You claim lost wages and punitive damages for defamation of character.
Correct.
You have 1 minute.
She called my boss. I have documentation when she called, and they logged it over to my boss. There's no mention that she's my daughter-in-law, that that's my grandson, or my sons that I'm picking up. It says that unknown people and her son. He was on a visitation with him, and his father gave permission for him to ride the bus. So I have permission to give him a ride on my bus.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if there is a court order of visitation, the court order of visitation provides that the child is to be picked up and returned to the...
Correct.
Not by you.
Not by me.
But by his father.
Yes. Let me explain, okay?
No. I want you to tell me what the lawsuit is about.
Okay. I'm sorry. So, I go back, I talk to my boss. My boss says, get an anti-harassment order because we don't want to deal with this problem. I did. I went before a judge.
All you had to do was stop taking your grandson off the road that you were supposed to be traveling with other children and not drop him off at the daycare.
Well, I hadn't had an opportunity not to do that.
But, Miss Neville.
I did what
Miss
the
Neville
officer told me.
No.
The judge.
That's, first of all, that's hearsay.
Excuse me.
Listen to me.
Explain this. You're twisting this.
I'm not twisting anything.
You are.
Listen to
She's
me.
saying there was a DV assault, but they had got reconciled. They got together. They moved out. They left. She got caught cheating, having an affair with a high school kid.
Listen to me carefully. All you had to do.
Well, she doesn't mention that to you.
Just
I mean,
a second.
come on.
I'm talking about you and your lawsuit,
Okay.
which I'm going to lose my temper over in a couple of seconds.
Well, I've had to deal with it for 5 years. How do you?
You don't get 5 years worth, madam. What you're going to tell me is about lost wages.
Correct.
And punitive damages for defamation of character and slander. Get there.
What it had to do with is the whole school year of 2000 and 2004, she continued to make attacks on my person by making claims that my grandson scared of me. She wrote the school this. She tried to get me removed from my school route by writing the school district.
Show me.
This is the statement, one letter that she wrote.
Okay, so after you stopped bringing him to the daycare, and there was no problem with that, she wrote this to the school.
Correct.
And you claim that this is harassment. I want to know this is a legal claim.
Yeah, she claimed she didn't want Jeffrey to speak to me or be near me, that he was scared of me.
Okay. She contacted the school, to whom it may concern. You sent this to the elementary school? And it merely says that she does not want, for whatever reason, which she outlines here, she doesn't want Debbie Neville to contact him while he's at school.
Your Honor, the reason why is because there was an incident with Debbie and my son Jeffrey at the school. I have a letter from his principal in regards to that, as well as a letter from my son's therapist that he's been seeing since kindergarten regarding the incident.
The therapist in September of 2003, and I don't want to go back there, says it's best for him not to have contact with you. Okay. Get to 2005. I want to hear how you have a lawsuit against Miss Hubel for lost wages and defamation of character.
Okay.
This is not a therapy session, Miss Neville.
I know.
This is a lawsuit. So get there.
So several times during I had the anti-harassment order, I had to call the police and report incidences with her, and I have copies of a few of those.
Not interested.
And so the following...
I'm not interested. I'm interested in defamation and lost wages. And if you can't get there, I'm going to dismiss your case.
I had to select a different route the following year to prevent her from further tormenting me.
Okay, good. That's not a lawsuit. What else?
I lost wages because of that, because I didn't take that route because she kept calling the school district.
That's the way things go.
Here's a letter from his bus driver.
I'm not interested in a letter from his bus driver. I don't see a lawsuit, Miss
If you
Neville.
don't let me enter my evidence, how am I supposed to prevent a case?
I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me.
You just read documents that were not notarized, that I don't...
They're from school officials and a therapist.
The school official got fired because of what she did. Wrote that letter. She was not allowed to write that
Listen
letter.
to me. I'm not interested in anything that happened in 2003. This is not a therapy session. It's a court.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're going to have to explain it to you. Everybody out there, 10 million people know it.
Yeah, but perhaps it's not. Daughter-in-law Sarah Hubel has slandered her at her job. Sarah is countersuing for harassment.
I'm going to hear your counterclaim. 30 seconds. Get there.
Yes, ma'am. Well, as of this year, a couple weeks ago, she just had taken me to court again, trying to get an anti-harassment order for me. It was denied. This was the second order that she had tried to get against me that was denied. I'm continually having to go into court because of her allegations.
Where do you live?
I live in Seattle.
Which she moved right next door to me. Why did she have the restraining order? She moved right up the street from me, right on top of my bus route, just so she could watch me come and go.
Where does your former husband live?
He also lives in Seattle.
How far away from you?
Well, actually, they just moved. Maybe about a mile from where I live.
Seattle's a big place. Why don't you move farther away from them?
I don't move farther away from them because my son goes to school there. He has gone to school there since kindergarten. I work right across the street from my son's school. I live right down the road.
Who else
That's
lives
where
with you
it's
now,
always
Miss
been.
Hubel?
Christopher Crippen.
Who is he?
My boyfriend.
Does he work?
Yes.
How long was the custody battle that you had with your former husband?
2.5 years.
Did he want custody?
No.
So he wanted visitation?
Just visitation.
Does he have visitation now?
Not any longer.
When was that terminated?
In March of 2003, right after the assault, I went to the court to get a protection order for my son to ask for supervised visitation. And Josh denied in open court that he wanted to have any visitation with Jeffrey if it had to be
supervised.
Supervised.
So are you telling me that he hasn't seen his son since March of 2003?
Correct.
Is he living with you?
He is.
Very sad family case.
Yes, it is.
Well, one thing you seem to be both accomplishing is you're both accomplishing making this little boy crazy.
Excuse me.
You got to get over it, both of you.
I've never
You don't have a lawsuit. This is not a lawsuit. This is aggravation.
It is aggravation.
It is aggravation.
It is.
You're causing each other aggravation. Stop.
Correct. But she won't stop.
I have the feeling, Miss Neville, and I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that if you had nothing to do with her,
you know
your
what?
problems would be over. I can understand why you're angry. I can understand.
Excuse me.
I can understand why you're angry. You have a
No.
son who's ill, who, according to you, has cancer, takes medication.
No, it's not according
who's
to me.
been
I
in
have
jail.
the doctor's
I'm
reports right
speaking.
here.
You're not
But
following.
you're making statements.
You are over here.
But
You're not getting it.
It's not according to me. Here's some documents.
I agree with you. I accept the fact that he's ill.
And I don't call her job. I don't follow her around. I don't do that.
I have a feeling, Miss Neville, that Miss Hubel would like...
My witness can testify to her following me into the store, staying outside, waiting for me to come out of the store, and chasing me out of the parking lot. I've had her push a grocery cart into my leg.
You shouldn't have anything to do with each other. You shouldn't be
I
near
try
each
not
other.
to.
Honor, I thought it was supposed to be my turn to be giving my statements.
What I'm trying to do is to tell you, neither one of you has a lawsuit. You have created aggravation for each other.
What have I done to her? Excuse me, tell me. Do you have our documentations of what have I called your job? Have I gone to your place of work? I avoid your place of work. My friends avoid you. The whole community avoids you because they're scared of you. They're scared if you get done tired being mad at me that they're going to stalk them. I have witnesses that would not come because they're scared of her.
Well,
I lost business in my art because of her.
One way or another, if you want to live in peace, you're going to have to relocate.
Yes.
That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to move out of Seattle. And if you don't do it, then you're just prolonging this bad feeling because she has a grown son who has an illness. That makes her feel bad as a mother. She has a grown son who probably says to her that he's sad because he can't see his son. That makes her feel protective. Do you understand? There's a story which is the underpinning of this lawsuit. You're going to have to move. And the faster you do it, the faster you're going to be able to enjoy your life. You get it?
Yes.
Otherwise, there's going to be constant
It's not all that easy just to pick up and move.
It's not all that easy. Have the last 4 years been easy?
No.
Your son's 9 years old. It's not as if he's a junior in high school that he has to reacquaint with friends when he's a junior and he's going to graduate. He's 9 years old. He'll adjust to a new school. You want peace? Move. Lawsuit's dismissed. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out, ma'am. Wait for 120 on the calendar in the matter of Posh versus Lee Pack. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen.
Mr. Posh, you and the defendant are neighbors.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, Mr. Lepak was disposing of something from his backyard and did so in a manner that caused him to damage your car. Mr. Lepak acknowledges that he was disposing of this item in his backyard, but said that your car was not damaged at all. How long have the two of you been neighbors?
I lived in North Plainfield for 25 years.
In the same house?
In the same house. And Mr. Lepak, I'm not quite sure how long he lived there.
4 years.
And prior to this incident, had you had any difficulties with each other?
None.
None whatsoever.
You didn't know each other, though, and you share a common property line?
No. We live across the street.
Oh, well, somebody's going to have to explain to me this property that you were disposing of. What was it, Mr. Lepak?
It was a child's Tiny Tykes playhouse,
How big is that?
about 3 foot by 3 foot.
And why were you disposing of it?
It was junk cleanup week.
So tell me what you did.
Basically, dragged the playhouse over to the fence. I couldn't get it through the gate of the fence.
Because it was too big.
It was too big. So seeing that there was a car parked out on the street, I had no other choice but to slide the playhouse over the fence.
How high is the fence?
6 foot.
So let me try to envision. You had to either stand on something or toss it over.
Not exactly. I was able to slide it up the side of the fence.
Yes.
It's not very heavy to begin with. It's maybe 50 pounds. So I was able to slide it up the fence and then guide it over the top of the fence.
Well, how do you guide it over the top of the fence, sir?
Well, you slide it on the side of the playhouse.
Correct.
You're just sliding it up the fence.
Right. And how do you guide it over? You just drop it.
Well, you teeter it on the top and then you let it go. I have a video of a reenactment of that, which I would like you to see.
I would absolutely love to see it because I just have to see where his car was parked in relationship to where you disposed of this thing.
All right, we're just going to show a recreation of the kids' playhouse going over the fence.
Just a second, Perd, would you go back it up a little bit? I just want to see where the car was parked. Okay, I see where you were parked right in front of his house, sir?
This is actually his backyard.
In front of the backyard?
Yes,
In that area where there was no car parked.
that is correct.
Who witnessed this going over?
Approximately 5 witnesses, which 2 of them are here right now. and
Raise
they
your
witnessed
hands if
it.
you witnessed these. Supposed to pay attention. Who
Who
are you?
I'm Devin. I'm his son.
And who are you?
I'm Peter. I'm Devin's friend.
You were both there that day?
Yes.
Who wants to speak first?
I'll speak first.
Okay.
During that day, my friend brought her sister's new car over. So we're standing on the side of my house. We saw Mr. Lepak trying to get the playhouse through the fence. And about a minute later, he got it up on the fence. I said, it's going to hit my car. And then it bounced off the ground and it hit my car.
So you saw it hit the car?
Yes. It shook my car, so we definitely knew it hit my car.
Okay. Did you see pretty much the same thing?
Yes, Your Honor. We noticed that Mr. Leapak put the playhouse on top of the fence, and it stood there for a few seconds, and then he shoved it over the fence, and it hit the ground first, and then it bounced off the ground and hit the car, and I saw the car shake.
Thank you. You have a photograph of the damage?
I have several photographs, yes.
I'd like to see the photographs, please. Did you go over and speak to Mr. Leapak, Mr. Pash?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, after my son told me about this, I went over to speak to Mr. Leapak about this. And first he just told me to get off this property, and I attempted to say, look, I came over here to see what happened to the car. I was told that the child's playhouse hit my car. Well, I take a look at it. He said, okay, go ahead, look at this. So when I went to go look at the car, I saw that there was fresh damage done, which was indicated by the dirt that was on the car was removed in the damaged area. I even indicated to Mr. Leapak that I saw like parts of the plastic embedded in the paint where it scratched it and damaged it.
And what did he say?
I don't remember exactly what he said. He just said that didn't do it. So it came from somewhere else. So then I even said it's even the same color as the plastic that's on your playhouse. And he still refused to believe that it hit it. And also I told him that several people over here said that they saw it shake the car, even heard it hit the car.
Okay. It didn't hit the car.
You don't know that. You didn't see it. You were behind the 6-foot fence.
That is correct, but...
So you don't know whether it hit it or not.
Oh, with the gate there, I was out the gate immediately.
You don't know whether it hit it or not, because you weren't there at the moment it landed. You were behind the fence.
But it landed, as you saw on the videotape?
No, sir. I'm not viewing that reenactment as a reenactment of what actually occurred. Just so that I could get a visual of where his car was parked in relation to where you did this ridiculous thing. And you had choices. You had choices. You could have disassembled it so it could have fit through the gate, right?
Part of it. Only the roof would come off.
Sir, everything comes apart. All you needed the right tools.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Somebody's cat, somebody's dog, somebody's child.
Neighbor David Leapak disposing of trash from his backyard. David denies causing any damage.
You've lived next door to, or the neighbors of these people for 4 years, and I've had no difficulty with them. Is that right?
That's correct.
What motivation do you think that Mr. Pash would have to say at the precise moment that you were negligently discarding something from your backyard? My car was damaged. What possible motive would they have to want to do such an unneighborly thing to you?
I don't think they would have a motive to do that, but that being said, there were other scratches and dings on the vehicle. The police officer who did look at the vehicle did not indicate the dent. He did indicate in his police report.
I'd like to see it.
He did indicate in the police report that there were numerous other scratches in the vehicle and did not indicate the dent.
He says, I observed the vehicle, which did have a scratch, exactly where he said it did. It also had numerous other scratches on the vehicle. So?
Okay. Then I have another videotape when I went over to confront Mr. Pash regarding the damage to his vehicle. In that same vehicle, in that same video, he was searching for where any scratches or dents were on that vehicle. And he was looking at it several times trying to say, well, it was here, and, well, this could be it too. And that's why I brought the video along.
Go ahead.
That was not true. I indicated exactly where the dents were, where the marks were exactly.
Okay, the car had a lot of dents.
Yes.
Car had a lot of dents. That doesn't excuse this dent. That doesn't mean that he's going to pay for all of the other dents on the car to be repaired.
That's correct. We're not expecting him to do that now.
Well, what you should have done is say, listen, I didn't see it. You would have me say, sir, that these two young men who say that they witnessed the playhouse going over and the car shaking are lying to me. And I don't think that they're lying to me. And since you were doing the wrong thing, since you did the wrong thing, because you're at one side of the fence, and it's taking you some time, because you've got to balance this playhouse, slide it along the fence. Would you say that that takes 15 seconds?
Maybe.
And then you had to balance it, right? And you were still holding on to it when you were balancing it, is that right?
Yeah, you're holding on to the bottom of it, yes.
Listen to me. You didn't run around the fence and see whether it was all clear on the other side.
Oh, yes, I did.
While you were balancing it?
No, prior to...
Listen to me carefully, sir. Not prior to. Once you start sliding it up the fence, you did not stop until it was over the fence.
That's correct.
Right.
But
now, let us say that instead of just denting his old car, which had a lot of other dents on it, a child ran across the street at the very moment that you decided to let go of the bottom of the playhouse and let it drop over. And this 50-pound playhouse fell on a child from a 6-foot area. You think that that would have been your fault?
Absolutely. Possibly.
Well, that's what happens when you take risks.
Your Honor.
When you take risks, Mr. Lepak, on somebody else's behind. You're not taking a risk on yours, but on somebody's cat, somebody's dog, somebody's child, somebody's toddler comes running across the street. Just at the very moment you decide to let go of that playhouse. That's a very dumb thing to do, just because it's tricky.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get to how much is going to cost to take the ding out, sir?
$408.
How old is this car?
It's a 1996.
And how many dings are on the car?
A few. Not
Okay.
many.
You're going to have to try to get it fixed for $200. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I know I didn't do it. It was evening when it happened. It's hard to see when his kids are 100 feet away.
I think it should be done and over today. I think we both clearly understand what happened, and we'll try to be more careful on things next time.
And now the next case.
All parties in the versus who? Step forward.
Dmitry Moshinsky is suing his ex-girlfriend, Angie Poo, for a loan to buy a Honda Accord. Angie claims the car was a gift.
Mr. Moshinsky, the defendant was your girlfriend. You lived together for a period of time, and you claimed that you were very generous with her financially, making many gifts to her, taking her, showering her with fancy dinners, etc. But that at some point in January of 2005, you made a loan to her for a car and broke up several months later. You want that money back because you say it was a loan. Ms. Pooh says it was a gift.
Yes.
When did you first live together?
We moved in together in August 2004.
In August of 2004, what was the defendant doing to make a living?
She was a student.
So she wasn't working. You were supporting her.
Yes.
Now, when did she want to purchase a car?
She was looking to purchase a car in January of 2005. And while we were shopping at one of the dealerships, she was talking about loans and payments to the salesman. That's when I offered to loan her money.
Why are you smiling?
Because it wasn't a loan, it was a gift.
Well, he's telling me a story about what happened when you were at the car dealership. Is that what happened? Were you discussing taking out a loan to pay for part of the car?
No.
You never discussed that with the car dealer?
No.
This was a shady dealership in Dallas. That's where she was discussing these things with one of the salesmen. And I offered her to loan her some money so she doesn't end up having to pay the interest. And she asked me, how much can I borrow from you? I said up to the whole amount because the guy was expected to be around 10 grand. She paid $4,000. I paid remaining $6,000.
Now, what kind of a car did you have?
Honda Accord, 2000, special edition.
A Honda
4
Accord.
cylinders, Your Honor.
And what kind of a car did she buy?
Honda Accord 2000 coupe.
Is the car titled in both of your names?
No.
Just in her name?
Yes.
Was it your intention to make this a permanent relationship at the time?
Yes, Your Honor. We were actually engaged since October 2004.
Where is the ring?
She has it now.
Where's the ring?
It's at home.
Why?
Because he said I could have it.
What kind of ring is it, Mr. Moshinsky?
I think it was about $3,000. I'm really not proficient in all those carats and diamonds. And
But it's a diamond engagement ring.
yes,
You understand, sir, that you could have asked for that ring back.
I could have, but it was really a gift.
No, it was an engagement ring, you said.
Right. But
An engagement ring is a ring that's given in contemplation of a marriage. Two of you are not marrying.
but she never said she would give it back to me. So there was no verbal contract like in the case with the car.
Mr. Moshinsky, I want to explain something to you. You're not being persuasive with me, sir. The $1,000 was not sort of an investment.
Let me give you
Mr.
some more
Moshinsky,
information.
give me some more information, sir. Then I have a couple of questions for you.
In this email, she admits, she said to me she would pay the money back.
Let me see.
It's addressed not to me, but that's her words.
Could you show this to her? And I want to ask her who you wrote this to.
I wrote that to my ex-boyfriend.
Why did you write to your ex-boyfriend?
Because we still talk to each other. We're on amicable terms.
Well, it
More than
sounds...
just talk to your owner.
Shh, Mr. Mashinsky, I'm not speaking to you now. Well, that email seems to indicate, I mean, you say a lot of nasty things about Mr. Mashinsky, but seems to indicate that you told Mr. Mashinsky the night before you wrote to your ex-boyfriend that you told Mr. Mashinsky you were going to pay him back for the car. That's what you say in the email, right?
Right.
Were you lying to your
I honestly-
ex-boyfriend? I'm speaking. Were you lying to your ex-boyfriend?
No, I honestly don't remember writing this. It looks like a combination of emails and maybe something that he wrote. I do write to him, but on this date, on July 22nd, no.
So you don't remember writing that?
I really don't.
Well, there's no way of verifying that that was an email that she wrote. Now, you were engaged in October of 2004. You were planning on marrying this lady. You had bought her an engagement ring. You were a good guy. You don't take money back from your wife. And let's say instead of breaking up with her in July, I'm speaking.
She wasn't my wife.
I'm speaking. Pay attention. Let's say instead of breaking up in July, you got married in July.
And
When was she going to pay you back the $6,000?
it didn't happen.
That's not my
I was
question.
waiting.
That's not my question. I think that you would have been far more successful if you sued her for the return of the engagement ring that you spent $3,000 on. Because that you're entitled to. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
You know, I can't give Mr. Mashinsky something that he didn't sue for. He's entitled to that engagement ring back. When is he going to get it?
Whenever he wants it.
He wants it tomorrow.
Okay.
Because he's entitled to that back.
Okay.
You got it?
I understand.
Good. All right, I'm going to prepare an order that you indicate on consent that the engagement ring will be returned tomorrow.
Okay.
Got it? $6,000, sir, you don't get, because the $6,000 was what you gave to somebody who was going to be your wife to buy a car.
That's
Safe
the only
car.
reason I
That's
didn't.
all.
Counsel has been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Are you Miss Janikowski?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your son?
Yes.
Whose name is?
Alex Kinsel?
Alex?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Good. Did you give him a good poke?
Yes, I did.
Perfect. I saw that. It was subtle, but he got it. I'm impressed. Alex,
Yes, ma'am.
I do want you to understand that this is going to be an unpleasant morning for you.
Okay.
Your mother is aware of that, but I'm sure that lately you've had a couple of unpleasant moments with your mother, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't there,
No, ma'am.
and you weren't there.
No, ma'am.
So why don't you have a seat? You're just the question really of liability, and in your case, a question of ownership of the car that was allegedly damaged by Alex
Yes, ma'am.
when he decided to assault your boyfriend,
Yes, ma'am.
this young man, I assume?
Yes.
The only problem was your boyfriend was sitting in your car.
Yes.
And your car had a sunroof. So Alex, in order to get to,
Tyler,
climbed up on the,
I jumped into the sunroof. I didn't climb.
jumped from the pavement
Yes.
into the sunroof.
Yes, ma'am.
Sort of like Spider-Man. Faster than a speeding bullet, right? Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
You're kind of mixing out
Is-
heroes, but that's it.
That's one of them.
Yeah,
Superman,
yeah.
Spider-Man. So you were able to do that, right?
Yes, ma'am. When you're mad and the adrenaline's rushing, sometimes you do things you don't expect you can do.
So now you want him to pay for the damage that he allegedly caused to your car, right? Alex says through his mother that he's very sorry for assaulting Tyler, which he freely admitted in juvenile court, and he was placed on probation.
Yes.
So he's paying for that crime, and he's sorry he did that, but he didn't damage the car
No, ma'am.
because, like Superman, he was able to bound from the sidewalk through the sunroof to get to Tyler without ever touching the car, right? So now, Alex, what?
I'm sorry.
What?
Just picturing it.
I want you to, I tried to draw a word picture to you to get you interested in what's going on.
I'm very interested.
Good. So, why don't you tell me why you decided to assault Tyler?
Almost a year ago, my friend Kevin was killed, Kevin Farrell. And it was due to the fact that Tyler had robbed someone and placed the blame on Kevin.
A year before this happened,
Yes, ma'am.
who killed your friend?
Lee.
Was he ever apprehended for this murder?
He was apprehended and he got criminal confinement and is still in courts right now, I believe,
Or was he convicted
of criminal confinement.
of
They-
criminal confinement? What is criminal confinement? I never heard of that.
When they hold them against their will in a car with weapons.
You know these people?
Unfortunately, yes.
Aren't they all these gang people?
No.
Just criminals?
Yes.
Oh, you're terrific. Okay, so according to you, he's responsible for your friend's murder.
Yeah, if it wasn't for him, my friend would still be alive right here now.
Okay, so that's why you were angry with him.
Yes.
Is that why you assaulted him?
That's one of the reasons. They also provoked me
How did they provoke you?
by flicking me off, saying stuff, parking right next to my car the day it happened.
You mean the day that this assault happened?
Yes.
So they parked next to your car. She parked next to your car?
Yes, and she told me that Tyler had hit her that day, and that angered me as well. And he's supposed to be out of school 10 minutes earlier than all the other students, so he's actually trespassing.
Step up here. Why is he supposed to be out 10 minutes earlier?
Because there's so many people after him for the reason what he did.
You have a special schedule at school, Tyler?
Yes, ma'am. For safety precautions, I leave 10 minutes early at the end of the day, and I come 10 minutes late every morning.
And he did not do that. So if he
So
would
for all of
rules,
those reasons, you decided that you were going to assault him?
Yes.
Ma'am, a couple weeks earlier, he had spit in my face at school also before all this had happened and
Did you
got
do that?
trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
It's his fault my friend's dead.
No.
Okay, so if you assaulted him a week or two before, why are you complaining about being flipped off?
It just angers me.
Are you seeing a psychiatrist? Do you think you should?
No, ma'am.
You should. He should be seeing a psychiatrist regularly. You understand that? You don't believe that? Step up with him, please. He should be in therapy. Intensive
I don't believe
therapy.
so, because once a person's been harassed off and on, a human being can only take so much.
Listen to
and he
me.
was at his breaking
Listen to me.
point.
Did you know that he spit in his face 2 weeks before?
No, I did not.
You see, somebody who's being harassed is usually frightened. So they stay away from the people who are harassing them or threatening them. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do,
Okay.
but when they go to the same
Okay,
high school...
They is the aggressor. When he assaults him, he becomes the aggressor.
I understand.
And that has nothing to do with harassment. He told me that he spit at him 2 weeks before because he believes he's responsible for his friend's murder. Do you understand?
Yes, I do, but Tyler had also off and on since the incident has been harassing Alex.
Listen to me. I'm giving you a friendly word of advice from someone who has been in the juvenile justice system now for almost 30 years.
I know that.
If you don't get him involved in therapy, you're going to be visiting him every other Sunday, and you're going to have to go through a metal detector to do it. I want you to trust me on this. And if you don't, when you look back at your portfolio of photographs of this time in his life, 20 years from now, you're going to say, you know, wouldn't have hurt if I had him talk to somebody and get out all this anger.
Yes, ma'am.
Because his anger has to do with some event that happened a year ago that he hasn't been able to get over.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Sometimes he
Says fellow schoolmate, 17-year-old Alex Kinsel, damaged her car when he jumped through the sunroof. Tiffany says Alex was attempting to assault her boyfriend.
Can I see pictures of the car, please? I see a lot of damage to this car, Alex.
Yes.
Damage to this car that would suggest to me that you were not able to leap over and get onto the sunroof as you indicated you did.
Your Honor, I did not damage the car of a witness that was right there and saw the whole thing.
I'm prepared to hear the witness. You may have a seat. Step up.
And she had also...
Shh. Tell me your name.
Vicky Nofel.
Miss Nofel, this happened at the school. What were you doing at the
I
school?
was picking up my daughter after school. My car was parked in front of the car that involved in
And
the
tell me
incident.
exactly what you saw.
He didn't actually climb on the car. He held onto where the door is and was in the sunroof. There was no hitting, kicking of the vehicle. And there had been damage to the car before.
How do you know that, my dear?
Well, my daughter goes to that school also.
Yes.
And Tiffany had stated to her that she had hit a deer and it had damaged the side of her car.
These are footprints. Deer don't have feet. And I cannot imagine, madam.
I understand.
I cannot imagine the kind of assault that he pled guilty to occurred without his feet touching the car if he's in the sunroof. Could you imagine that? It just doesn't make sense. It defies credulity that he can assault somebody with his fists while poised on top of a car, unless this is a toy car. Is it a toy car?
No, no.
Without his feet hitting the car. You understand that?
I understand.
Good. Now you can sit down.
Excuse me, Judge Judy.
Yes.
We do have a police report, and there's no mention of any damages in the police report.
I'd like to see the police report. This only has to do with the damage to this young man.
Well, I assume that it should have been in there.
No, it does refer to another number that you didn't get. Can I see an estimate, please, on the car? What year car is this?
A 97.
97 what?
Toyota Avalon.
Did you have it fixed?
We don't have the money to fix it.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes.
In court on March 26, 2005, with the juvenile hearing for the attack, Mrs. Borloff was asked if she had any estimates for the damages, and she had said no, she did not, that she just had the car fixed, and she wanted to be reimbursed.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you can step up.
Nope. And she said she had it fixed by Peterson's Garage in Michigan City.
Is that right? I mean, that's easy for me to call.
She's lying, Judge.
No,
She
I
did
brought
state
that estimate with me.
She did not have that estimate that day in court.
Are you telling me now that you did not have the car fixed?
No, ma'am.
Then why would she state that she did?
You have a copy of those minutes?
I asked for them
Do
at
you
our
have a
court.
copy of the
No,
minutes?
ma'am, I don't.
Oh, okay.
They said they were not available, otherwise I would have had them.
Okay. Whether she had the car fixed or she has the estimate, your son's got to pay for the damage. Stop making excuses for him.
I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to state the facts.
First, you tell me that your son caused no damage, because that's what he told you.
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
brought a witness to tell me that Superman didn't cause any damage when he assaulted Tyler. Then you tell me that, well, because she already had the car fixed, and all she wanted to do was be reimbursed. I'm telling you that you better start thinking about accepting total
I
responsibility
understand that.
for his bad behavior.
But he told
it
me
should
there
not.
was no damages, so...
Well,
Your Honor,
what?
there were tons of people around the car. How I'm not on the side of the car or nothing, you know. I jump into the sunroof. I'm
Too
not
bad.
kicking the
Listen
car.
to me, Alex.
Yes.
Sometimes life isn't fair, my dear, and sometimes the justice... Stand up on your own 2 feet and take your hands off the table. Sometimes the justice system is not as fair as you would like it to be if you're a criminal.
17-year-old Tiffany Borlove says fellow schoolmate, 17-year-old Alex Kinsel, damaged her car when he jumped through the sunroof. Tiffany says Alex was attempting to assault her boyfriend.
When you're a criminal and you commit certain acts of vandalism and you say, well, I did that, but I didn't do that. Courts are going to say, listen, I don't have time to figure this out. You jumped up on her car. Common sense suggests that when you jump up on a car and you assault somebody to the extent that you plead guilty to an assault, so it's a serious assault, and according to you, my adrenaline was flowing so that you're able to do things. That's what you told me. So I was able to do things. You never know what your strength is. I don't have to say to myself, well, maybe a deer caused one of these dents, and maybe you caused one of these dents. It's your fault. You're responsible. I can't find the deer. You're it. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,700. That's
Smith, step forward.
20-year-old Robert Aiken is suing his ex-fiancée, 22-year-old Cheryl Smith, for unpaid bills and late fees. Cheryl claims Robert is obsessed with her.
Mr. Aiken, Miss Smith was your fiancée for a period of time. I assume you lived together for a period of time. And it is your claim that you put some money into her checking account in order to pay some bills.
Correct.
You broke up, and she put a stop payment on the bills you had paid. Well,
Yeah, she did it online. She stopped all payments.
I don't understand how you do that. I like that little checkbook. You write it out, you deposit it. I don't understand the online stuff, but you want that money back.
Correct.
Ms. Smith said nothing could be farther from the truth. You put money into the account. You did pay bills with the money you put into the account. You started to pay some more bills with money that you hadn't put into the account, so she put a stop payment on those bills. She has a counterclaim. She says that at some point immediately preceding your breaking up, she covered the entire rent because you were short, so that you owe her for rent. And in addition, and more importantly, she says that since the breakup, you've been involved in some serious harassment. So the money part should be relatively easy. How much money did you put into her account?
Total, 2 checks of $420 and $316.84. So $736.84.
When?
The $420 was put in on August 12th, and the $316.84 was put in August 11th.
When had you covered the rent, Ms. Smith?
I wrote the check on August 1st.
And how much was the rent?
$662.70.
Was it your responsibility to pay the rent?
We both paid the rent. It was joint money.
Immediately prior to the 11th of August, When did you make your preceding deposit in her bank account?
I would give her cash when I got my check because she was writing all the checks for bills. So I would just cash and stuff of that nature. I have no proof of it. Sorry. I'm a hand person.
Now, he put in the $736. What bills did he pay with it?
Well, my counterclaim is I have bills that total $548.44 that I paid for him, in addition to the rent for $662.70.
It wasn't like a split right down the middle. We were
Well,
just
it should
paying.
be. It's all sounding very good for Miss Smith, Mr. Aiken. What I want to know is, did she make payments for you in the amount of $548? To whom?
She made certain bills.
To whom?
There was a $200 payment to his father.
That was to your father.
That's correct.
What, do you owe him money?
A car payment. It's in his name.
Go ahead.
$63.94 for his Comcast bill.
Uh-huh.
I also have penalties in which I was charged in order to stop the 3 payments that he was unauthorized to make.
Just a second. I want to know what the payments were that you made, not the fees. The payments were that you made.
And without the penalties, there were bills totaling $196 made prior.
Made prior to when?
Prior to August 1st for him.
Forget it. You paid $263 that you can account for, not $548. You know, you look like butter with milk in her mouth. You know, you keep turning it around, and she becomes a more interesting character. 736 minus 263, $473. That's what's left over. Now, we're going to say that he owes you half for the rent, because that's part of your counterclaim. So we're going to take off $330 from that. $143 you owe him. You got it?
Now, what about the payments that she stopped, though?
Good, she stopped them. Good, she should stop them. $143. Gets expensive when you play house. Now I want to hear about the harassment, because that troubled me. You say that he called you over 100 times in a short period of time?
That is correct.
Let me see. Why do you keep calling her, Mr.
There
Aiken?
were different occasions equaling up to it. I was trying to call her in the beginning to try to get some of the money without going to court. And then from time to time, she would be like, okay, well, I'll pay you something. And she'd be like, well, let's meet up here. And say at 1 o'clock, it'd be like 1:30, 2 o'clock. So I'd call her. She'd be like, yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. So it's just different phone calls, basically trying to resolve this money issue.
Well, but I'm looking at it.
It's just continuous.
For instance, I'm looking on the 23rd of August after another. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18 calls, one right after another.
That would just, as far as that was
Were
just...
you leaving messages on her machine?
No, I didn't leave voicemails. I left, I think, maybe one voicemail. The rest were, she'd pick up the phone and then she'd hang it up, and I'd try to get back to her and talk to her,
She doesn't want to talk to you.
I understand that.
Well, but when do you start getting that message, Mr. Aiken, that she doesn't want to talk to you? If, according to you, she picks up the phone and hangs up, she doesn't want to talk to you.
I was just trying to get money, like I said, with these bills,
You
the credit
kept
cards,
annoying
and
her.
cell phones. When the payments got stopped,
You
they shut off
kept
the cell
annoying
phone.
her. Since August, have there been any further calls?
Not since the personal protection order was issued.
Okay, do you have a copy of that?
Absolutely.
Let me see. Was it a permanent order or a temporary order?
It holds for 1 year.
So you consented to this, sir?
Yeah.
Well, if you consented to it, of necessity, the judge had to say to you, you're entitled to a trial, right?
Yeah, we showed up and had a hearing.
Oh, you had a hearing, so the judge found you guilty of harassing her.
Yeah, I told him the story, and I told him the phone calls, and he gave it to
Okay, but after that, you stopped.
her. Yeah, I have not contacted her since.
Anything else you want to tell me about your counterclaim, Miss Smith?
Yes. As far as for the harassment, this has seriously been going on for a long time. Numerous phone calls and numerous times showing up at my place of employment, numerous times threatening my child, numerous times threatening me. He's physically assaulted me.
After he physically assaulted you, did you remain in the relationship?
No.
When, according to you, was the first time that he physically became violent with you?
On August 7th.
So that was about the time that you were breaking up?
That is correct.
Okay, so this wasn't a history, as you indicated?
No.
Fine. And what did he do to you on the 7th?
On the 7th, he shoved me into a wall and left me captive in the closet of our apartment until I had talked to him.
I don't understand that.
Our closet is a small room. I was in there actually packing some clothes, and he stood in the doorway and refused to allow me to leave.
So he kept you captive there?
Correct.
Because he wanted to talk to you?
Correct.
He's over it. You get over it. He's finished, right?
Correct.
Going to stay away from her? Going to get you $148?
Correct.
Leave her alone.
Without question.
You made a bad choice. Put a period. Move on. Counterclaims.
Xin chào mọi người. Ở video trước, mình đã hướng dẫn cho mọi người hoàn thành xong được hàm móc số 4 của phần thân con Batman như thế này. Và video lần này, mình sẽ hướng dẫn mọi người móc hàm móc số 5, số 6 và hàng số 7. Và ở hàng móc số 5, số 6 và hàng số 7, mỗi hàng mọi người sẽ móc cho mình 24 mũi đơn. Rồi, mình đã hoàn thành xong hàng móc số 5 và bây giờ mình sẽ móc hàng số 6. Rồi, mình đã hoàn thành xong hàng móc số 6 và mình sẽ móc hàng số 7. Rồi mình đã hoàn thành xong hàng móc số 7 và bây giờ mình sẽ móc hàng móc số 8. đã hướng dẫn mọi người hoàn thành xong được hàng móc số 8 như thế này.